This video contains subject matter that may be offensive and disturbing to some people. If you are the type to require a warning throughout a video or show, let this message serve as your warning. This channel discusses the harsh reality of true crime. If this warning is not sufficient for you, consider a different genre and unsubscribe from my channel immediately. Hello, Freakazoids. We've got Dr. Colleen Fitzpatrick and Misty Gillis of Identifinders International on. All right, so here we go. We're going to switch over to that channel, or that screen right now. There we go. Oh, look at that. My God. There they are. You're on the screen. You can't tell that Dr. Colleen Fitzpatrick even realizes it. She's just staring at it like...
Here, I was trying to catch up on the cases and everything, really reading them real quick to sound like I know what I'm talking about. But
yeah, yeah. So
I'm here. Hi, everybody.
Yeah, they come on the show all the time. I mean, like when I say all the time, I mean, yeah, at least
every day,
5 or 6 times a year, or 7 or 8 times, even more than that. Probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we've got a whole bunch of cases that we've funded. And do you have any updates on any of those, or what's going on there?
Well, I can say I just read about Vermont, that we sent it off to Lakehead. Remember, Vermont is from 1937.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it was pretty tricky. And Missy can correct me. It was coming back from Lakehead that IMF didn't get it, but Lakehead has been really good with a lot of our stuff. And it looks like they still had some trouble with it at Lakehead. And they went to sequence it, and it didn't sequence very well. So IMF is reaching out to Lakehead because it looks like it was a bad batch, you know, that they just did something different and it didn't work out right. So they're going to go to Lakehead and, you know, rerun all the sequences.
I got your names backwards. So you guys came in on the wrong thing.
Oh, I'm Dr. Fitzpatrick today. Yay.
Hold on. So you guys came in on
you don't want to be
It's like whoever calls in. The way it works is
hey, wait a minute. I don't want 3 kids.
Whoever calls in is how it
you
works.
You can have them, Colleen.
No, thank you.
Yeah. So what happens is like I have it set up, and if you call in at a different time, it just switches them, and I wasn't even looking at that. So it might take a second here. You can just keep talking though.
Okay, I'm just saying that, you know, Danny's working the problem. They didn't seem to get, they ran it and they sequenced it and they didn't get enough, you know, juice out of it to upload to GEDmatch. Very low coverage. So they think that you know, the other Lakeheads came in and they had some problem with all of them. So they're going to ask them what went wrong, and they'll, you know, do the sequencing again to see, you know, if they can squeeze more juice out of it once they find out what they did. So just keep hanging in, I guess. That it, you know, and they're going to do all of this, I think, just pro bono to get the whole thing to work out. So let's just say it came back from Lakehead, and it looks like it may be a bad batch or something from Lakehead. They really don't know. They just didn't get a lot of sequencing out of it. Sorry about that.
But you guys, they still have that same batch, like you still have half the DNA somewhere else, right? Like,
I think so. Yeah, is that right, Miss?
Yeah, we took back half the DNA. Yeah.
Like 2 nanograms. I think you got. Didn't you get 4 total?
Yeah, we got like 3.5, and we kept like 1.75 aside and sent 1.75 for sequencing. So we still have that extract. But the problem is, if the extract is bad because of Lakehead for whatever reason, that 1.75 isn't going to do well under sequencing again. So we have to see what the root of the problem is, really.
Yeah, you want to make sure you know where you're at before you try again. Because then there's nothing, right? Unless they exhume again, which that was something they didn't want to do, I think. So
Right. They said they didn't want to do that.
yeah.
And let's see, Tari, I'm reading right now, and they said they've actually run it, and he says he got a lot of helpful data and everything, but it's sometimes it's hard to interpret what Danny's telling you. He's a little bit ADHD, and he said that something about getting it out of the sequencer, was something went wrong on that, and that they need to like manually look at the data and and work with it that way. I'm not really clear what the problem was, but it seems like on their end something was coming out of the sequencer odd. The data was odd. So they said they'll rerun it again. See, once you have the library prepared, you can rerun as many times as you want. So he said, considering the quantity of DNA, and it came from them, it usually works better. So they're trying to talk to the equipment manufacturer to find out what's going on and make sure that, actually the material we gave them was okay. It didn't have like inhibitors and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But so they're going to rerun it and see what's going on. Then there's a lot of other stuff here that I think those two things that I'm sorry they're having technical difficulty. I wrote them kind of a straightforward letter saying, hey, we're getting tired of waiting. And guys, there's other labs too we can go to for some of the other projects if we need to. DNA Lab International is doing real well. Gene by Gene's doing real well. So we have some alternatives. So, the new cases that come in, we might just try other labs. This one's really struggling. But Lakehead was supposed to be very good. They've given us lots of good stuff. It's just, for some reason, you just don't get usable data from it.
So when you're saying maybe it was how they received it, isn't it just the same? I mean, I don't understand how, like, maybe.
So
Danny
mentioned like the guy that works at the lab said it might be the way that they a certain enzyme that they use to do the extraction might be what's messing with the sequencer. So they're not 100% sure yet. They have to kind of go back and try to troubleshoot and figure out what exactly it is. If it's a certain way that they kept the sample, if it's a certain additive that they put in the sample, but something is throwing off the sequencer.
Okay. And what about the serial killer victim? Isn't that already in?
So my understanding is that is going good, I think.
Which one is that?
So that's the 1992 hotel room. There was a victim found in the hotel room.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
So that went through sequencing the first time at Tang's sequencer, Dr. Tang. And they said that there was low mapped human reads, so they're going to rerun it at an amplified rate and see if they can pull more of the human genome out of that right now. And that's what they're trying to do at the moment.
Oh,
so we should hear about that hopefully within the next week or two.
Okay, I thought that one was already done, like sequenced and ready to go to. Is there any of them ready? Oh, go ahead.
I thought it was done too, but he came back and said they have to rerun it. So.
They just didn't get enough.
Same batch at Lakehead, so I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, apparently they didn't get enough juice out of this. Sometimes you sequence, and if it's a very low sample, and you do normal sequencing, you don't get enough genome. You don't get enough data out of it, so you just kind of suck it some more and you get some more data. That's how I understand it. So, let's say we're kind of in the middle of trying to solve some problems. I think I can sum it up, but we're hanging in.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is so damn long on some of these things. It really eats my bits.
It sucks.
Yeah, well, maybe we should think of a different lab or something, I mean, they can...
Well, we always do.
Yeah. I mean, you guys...
I'm just getting tired of sleepless nights, worrying about these samples.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's about it for updates, right? I mean,
yeah, it's just kind of not, came back from Lakehead, the Vermont thing couldn't suck enough data out of it. So they think maybe it could be Lakehead stuff going on because they had a bad batch or something. They put the wrong chemical in or a different one. And that kind of counterindicated the sequencer or something. That's what I gather from that. And then the one with the cigarette, Klamath Falls, same thing, that there was something wrong. I think they got it through the sequencer, but something, the sequencer was hiccuping and they couldn't. That's what I understand, that they didn't like automatically get all the data. They're looking at what happened. It didn't come out right, so that they're going back to the equipment manufacturer. So it sounds like that might be the second stage. I mean, they got enough that they got from the cigarette, but now when they try to process it, there's something wrong at that stage. I'm getting kind of tired of all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been frustrating for all of us.
Yeah, I think that really would be.
But it's industry wide too, so we'll try a different lab or something. We've got it's not like
other colleagues who are having the same issues with the same labs right now.
Yeah, so
well, what
it's
changed,
not like
I guess
we're slackers or anything. It's just everybody's having problems.
But what do you think changed at those same labs that weren't doing that?
Well, one thing, IMF has the sequencer and it's new, and they're running their first few runs on it. And I have a feeling they're getting used to how it works, that they were trained, they got everything. But, when you really start using equipment, that sometimes you run into something, it doesn't go right. And it just because it's one of your first few times you're using it. And then Lakehead just changed and did something different. We don't know what they did or why they did it. But apparently they used a different enzyme and we don't know. So we're going upstream to ask.
Yeah. All right. Well, we don't have to keep talking about those. I mean, it's also the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I want to talk about Idaho. I want to talk about Idaho, and I want you to show Misty all those cool 3D stuff you did, because it's really good.
Yes.
Yeah, cool. So in the Idaho case, basically what you guys, your expertise, I guess, would be is you're, besides being analytical people, that's why it'd be interesting just to hear what you think about some of this other stuff. But they had the clasp on the sheath that was left on the right side of looks like, I think, Madison's body on the bed. It was just sitting there, and on the button that you snap it shut with, he left DNA on it. And then they probably put that into CODIS originally, right off the bat. And then they, through tracking and various things, they realized they had the right suspect, were able to get like a warrant and sort of surreptitiously collect the DNA at his father's house. And they determined that the DNA in the trash was his, very, very likely the father of the CODIS unsub, that one, right?
That's kind of like a paternity test is what they did, essentially. Same thing.
Yeah. So, well, maybe you can tell us how that might work with the, they get the DNA out of the trash. How might they do something like that?
Well, you get the DNA. It's like a paternity test. You have, they probably knew it was Kohlberger's father, right? So what you do is you just look at. They did this with what's his name, the one in L.A., Grim Sleeper. That you get half your DNA from mom and half from dad. So they had Mr. X and CODIS, and then they went to who they thought dad was, and whoever Mr. X had, half of his DNA came from dad. From this guy. It was obvious probably that it was, the father of the guy in CODIS. And then they used Y DNA, and they could prove that they had the same last name.
Well, there you go. But
they
probably dug through the garbage and looked for something that likely would contain DNA, and then they tested it, and it sounds like, what was it, 99.9999 like 8% chance or something of it not being the dad or something. or the other way around. Yeah.
I'm curious if they were doing forensic genealogy in parallel to the investigation because of all the reports that came out at the beginning. Because Gray, you hit it on the nail on the head last time we talked. You said it wouldn't take long to do this, and is this something that they would do in a hot case like this? And when the reports came out originally saying that he was caught, and they're still saying so, that he was caught using that, but it was not in the probable cause affidavit, I have to wonder if it was running in parallel to the police investigation, and they just put the police investigation in the probable cause affidavit because they didn't include
there's a lot more controversy in the genetic genealogy part. They just
okay, wait. Let me explain. Forensic genealogy, FGG, is used when you don't have a suspect. When you have a suspect, it's not useful. Or it is useful, but let's put it this way. FGG is used to identify a candidate, let's say a candidate. And once you have the candidate, then you test on CODIS. That is the legal form of identification. But if you already have the legal form of identification, FGG is not worth it. It's irrelevant. You've already got to the end. Why? And you're not going to say, it's like this. This whole thing, the probable cause, whatever, and you have fingerprints left at the scene of the crime, they're going to put that in the probable cause and say the phone, the car, the DNA on the sheath, and by the way, it's supported by fingerprint evidence because the guy left his fingerprints, right? However, if it's FGG, they're not going to say, oh, it's a CODIS hit, we're so glad, and by the way, it's supported by FGG. It's irrelevant. FGG is irrelevant. Yeah,
well, they didn't have his name, and we're looking at him until maybe around the 30th of November. So maybe at first they quickly started. I mean, here's what I think happened. A news reporter heard that it was familial DNA, and that word was used, and they immediately went, oh, wow, forensic genetic genealogy, and then it became stories.
Oh.
I think that's possibly what happened.
Yeah.
I do. I think that might
be
right.
A really good point, Ray.
Yeah, that could be what happened. And it was probably, they could be doing FGG in parallel, just in case CODIS. But you see, they developed the suspect so quickly with the white car and the traffic stop and the phone. It kind of all started coming together. And, if I were, a seasoned detective, I'd see that right at the beginning, how promising that was. So they probably did start FGG, and it could have been just a leak that somebody overheard it, like you say, mentioning familial, or, that somebody didn't understand the whole picture. There was a core group that knew what was going on. And then on the periphery, other people were doing stuff, and they knew maybe FGG was working, and they grabbed it. Yeah. So whoever was doing FGG was not privy to the whole core of the investigation. That's what I think. That
makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So it's possible that it was going on in parallel, and they were getting indications like, hey, we think we got some names here, and maybe that helped a little bit at the very beginning, but they just did it the normal way. Once they got those...
There has been a organization that has made public comments alluding to the fact that they did genetic genealogy work on this case.
Right.
And it has not come out in the probable cause statement, and it has not come out naming this organization publicly. But people that belong to this company have made comments online alluding to the fact that they've been involved in the investigation. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen with that.
Yeah, but I'm telling you again, it's irrelevant to the whole case now.
Well, now it is.
It's just totally irrelevant.
Yeah.
And by the way, you mentioned that, they developed a suspect, let's say, in late November. Let's give them 10 days, 2 weeks, something like that. That could be the length of time you really take to get the sample, you process it, you put it on the sequencer, you have to wait for the next batch. It may be a couple of days. So by the time they got the suspect, that's probably FGG is getting ready. It's just being, out the oven, so to speak.
Except if we do, remember, we were talking though, if you want to do it the quickest way with no barriers, you guys both said within 2 days you could get a sequence and upload it to GEDmatch. If you're the FBI and you say, drop everything, get this in there right now, you could probably get it in there in 2 days and have somebody already working on it if you wanted to. if you have the
Well,
wait for the labs and shit, look
I'd
at
say
us. I mean,
I'd say 2 days is a little quick, but I would say in short order.
yeah, like real
Let's
quick.
say less than a week, or you have to ship
Well,
stuff.
I
It takes
talked to some
time.
people, Colleen, and they told me that Gene by Gene at some point had been able to turn around a file to them in 48 hours.
Oh, really?
Okay, so that
That's
not on
interesting.
this case, but on some a
Not
case.
on, yeah, but there has been cases where a precedent has been set that a file was turned around in 48 hours. So it
So
is
yeah,
possible in 2 days.
so they dropped everything
Okay.
and said, "Let's do this." Right? Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, let's
So in
say
this
I'll
case, it is
cut them that.
possible.
I'll
Yeah.
cut them that. I'd say two, three, a few days. Now, the only thing is you have shipping, they do have to send
Right.
the, and that, so shipping takes the day, or you can fly it down the same day if you want. I think you can do that if you hit the plane right. I've done that before. It's not that expensive, but let's say the shipping, you have to, if you're there standing there and with the DNA and the sequencer, yeah, it might take a couple of days, but you have to get the sample there, So let's say I would say more than anyway, a few days, not long.
Well, there you go. So
So anyway, you don't know that when you say gene by gene in 2 days, does that mean the time they had it in their hand and they put it on the machine and they ground out or is
Yeah,
it
that was
ground?
from the file was received by them, and then they were able to
Yeah,
turn it around to a GEDmatch file, like a FASTQ file or whatever,
right.
in
I mean, they got to
48
collect
hours.
it. They've got to, get it isolated. They got to send it. So
yeah,
gene by gene may do 48 hours, but it's got to get there. You got to get the sample and you got to
yes,
get it there.
yeah,
So
Right.
you got to say it's not just if gene by gene's standing there at the crime scene with the sequencer, yeah, but there's a little bit of overhead on the front end.
yeah,
No, you're right. You're right.
It has to go through the crime lab to get the DNA off the handle. You got to find it, and then you got to analyze that, and you got to get et cetera, CODIS. You get CODIS from it first, and then you get the stuff to send by gene by gene. Okay, so it's a few days. You can do it in a few days.
yeah. So
Yeah.
if I didn't mention it at the beginning, Dr. Colleen Fitzpatrick she was one of the founders of the DNA Dope Project and then bounced off to create her own Identifinders International. I think they were running in conjunction at some
Yeah.
point. But she's the founder of Forensic Genetic Genealogy. And then Misty Gillis
might
over
say
here.
that.
Misty Gillis over here is the like
The whiz
a
bang.
savant, like a savant
Yeah,
of
whiz bang, forensic genetic genealogist.
Yeah.
Whiz bang.
yeah, she's amazing. So it's
Thank you.
pretty awesome. So it's cool to be able to, at least work with you guys in terms of funding things. We just got to get
Yeah.
these labs to go a little quicker to make people more excited about stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really sucks that it's been, this last batch of funding, like, we had Danny come out so quickly and Danny was solved pretty quickly and that was really exciting. And then it's like the second batch of funding, like it's just the cases have been, and it's not just on your end if there's any frustration, but we're really frustrated about it because we want to work these cases. We're excited about it,
Well, what's weird about Armantrout is it actually took like a year. Because I remember at first,
Oh,
remember how they had that first DNA and then it had too much of the that chemical in
Yeah.
there, and then you sort of did it again, and then it worked.
It's inhibitors,
Yeah.
right? And then we got rid of those. We did enrichment.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it sounds like you enrich something, like you put sugar in coffee, but actually you do the opposite. You take the coffee away and you leave the sugar. Kind of funny how they call it. But anyway, we got that. It's just, I bet you it all happens at one time. It's such a struggle. I mean, why? I'm hoping one day people can really make this work. So, like, you just pour the DNA and you put it in the microwave and you push the button, and a
Boom.
minute or two later, the coffee's hot.
That wouldn't be that
It's-
fun though for you guys. Oh, I mean to get the sequence. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
It wouldn't be very fun to like put it in the microwave and here's your match. There's no genetic genealogist anymore. Someday it
Oh,
won't.
but there
It will
is
be.
no, but there's a company right now developing that. I mean,
Oh wow.
it's like, when all the stories, you have all these matches and they're all related to each other and they're related to you and you kind of mess it up till it all works out. There's a company developing software to do that. So they look at all your matches and all the centimorgans, and then they have artificial intelligence that kind of buzzes away on it and does the Sudoku for you. And then they come out with that tree, the perfect tree.
Do they do
They're doing
things
it
like,
right now.
does it go search the internet on its own? Like go check out, the various, find a grave and get the names off of that and build
No,
fathers?
not really. No. What really? They already know who the matches are, right?
Oh, I
Right.
see.
They
Got
know
trees.
this one is 300 centimorgans and is 50 years old. Then you have 200 centimorgans, somebody that's 45. Stuff like that. But it's all they have to do is self-consistent, build a skeleton, and then when it's done, overlay that information on the core people.
Yeah, so there's like these already trees out there. That's what I was kind of wondering. Some of these, like for cases, for example, like Schnee Oberholzer, I guess there was something like 10,000 people that was in a huge tree. So wouldn't it be crazy if you could sort of put that
That's
tree
small.
into a database? I know. Let's just say it's small and then somebody else does 20. And that's in a larger database. Then you wouldn't have to reinvent a wheel. I know it would take, because there's a lot of people that have died that are in those. So there's 7 billion people on the planet. And then there's, 30 billion that have died. So, I mean, there'd be huge trees out there, but maybe that's what they could do. You upload your tree in a format to somewhere, and then after 50 years, there's so many trees in there that it's easy for it to go and just grab little chunks.
Why don't they do that? Like everybody that signed up for Facebook has to go on GEDmatch and put their family tree in the DNA.
Well, there you
And
go.
that way they got, 3 billion people on Facebook? 3 or 4 billion? Imagine.
And they have to click for law enforcement use.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
To opt in.
The opt-in. That's such a
we
crappy
see-
thing where they made it so you had to do that. Before it was automatic, then they took everybody out, remember, and then you had to click the button. Before it was, if you're on GEDmatch, you're automatically opted in. That seemed to
That's
work
what
better.
FTDNA does. You're automatically opted into FTDNA. You have to manually opt yourself out now if
cool.
you don't want to be a part of law enforcement matching.
Yeah.
Yeah, but GEDmatch, because of that one legal issue, they panicked and changed everything.
Yeah. Well, that was good. I mean, I think they handled that very well. I mean, there was a big controversy because the church organist in, Utah got assaulted and they wanted to do it, but it didn't fall into the guidelines. So they went ahead and did it anyway. And everybody's like, oh my God, you violated. So what they did to compensate, they didn't want people to start a revolution and hate GEDmatch. They said, well, duh, bad me. And then they did the opt-in, opt-out. It was kind of like a negotiation with the public, which I think was, good to do. I mean, I think it was fair.
I didn't think, but I thought it was overreacting to something that if you really talk to people, that's pretty good. A violent assault, you found the person. It was just a little too much, but I mean, I get it. So anyways, Nancy Schmidt in there, said, how do you get DNA to GEDmatch? She typed aged match, but I think she meant GEDmatch. So you just download your raw file, right?
You got to send it to a lab, and the lab makes the data. The lab picks out the SNPs, and they put them in a big bowl, like a lottery thing, and they stir it up.
Yeah, you just explained that in the most complicated way. Listen, you load your DNA onto 23andMe and Ancestry, right?
Yes.
And then once you upload it,
23andMe test.
yeah, and then you download the raw file, and then you go over to gedmatch.com and you upload it on there. That's it. Simple. Instead, it was a blender, man. What did you have there? That was pretty good.
I think she was thinking how to get crime scene DNA onto GEDmatch versus how to get a personal.
I'm sorry.
I see.
Sorry, that's what I thought. You put in this thing that looks like a lottery machine, and they stir it up, and all the SNPs come to the top, and you scoop them off, and GEDmatch has a big funnel, and you just throw them in the funnel, and they pop, something like that. I've never seen it, but I read it in a magazine. Yeah,
well, for the crimes, it's just you're not spitting into a tube. You're collecting a sample of DNA somewhere. You're getting a sequence, and then the lab, or that software that you mentioned called, what's the name of that? Bioinformatics. Then converts it into a sort of a mimicking of the raw file that you download from 23andMe, right? It makes it look similar, so when you upload it to GEDmatch, it reads it just how it would from 23andMe or Ancestry.com. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, awesome.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the same data.
But he must make the file look similar, because the GEDmatch, I mean, you just upload garbage, we wouldn't know what it was doing. So it must know.
No, you download from Ancestry. Actually download,
Right, yeah.
and whatever Ancestry creates goes right on the GEDmatch.
Right, but I'm talking about the bioinformatics version. It must look exactly the same. And they just fill in
what they do is, no wait, Ancestry, 23andMe, and Family Tree don't exactly use 100% the same SNPs, but they use almost the same, like 80%, something like that. And then, so when you go to GEDmatch and you get the crime scene data and you're processing it, you get all the markers from all the companies. So you get the core ones, and then the other ones, kind of the ones that the different companies use, for themselves.
Oh, I see.
You do them all so you can, cover all the bases, so to speak.
Right. Well, that was just one random question in there, but yeah. So you guys want to talk about the Idaho case, or do you have something else to say about that?
No, I was going to say that, my point is that, about the FGG, I mean, it got leaked all over the media and stuff like that. And I think your point about it being familial searching is just excellent, because somebody heard that and, oh my God, that's FGG.
Yeah.
But I think Misty's right that it was done in parallel, and just in case. But they didn't need it. You don't need FGG to back up CODIS. Once they got CODIS, there was no point. So whoever was working on that and wanted to have their big publicity, their day in the sun, too bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I don't think they're really able to talk about it anyway. I mean, it's like I said, it's irrelevant. If it was fingerprints or some other form, shoe prints, whatever kind of evidence, I have to think, DNA on a cheese sandwich, left in the kitchen. They can support that, but, in other words, if it's DNA left in another part of the house, let's talk about that. If there's DNA left in the kitchen or something like that, you could say something like, there's DNA on the sheath of the knife, and that points to Mr. Koberger. But also, there was a cheese sandwich in the kitchen that had his teeth marks in it, and his DNA on the sandwich. That would support the DNA at the scene of the crime being his. But the FGG data, it's not at the scene of the crime. It's DNA already at the handle of the sheath, right? And that it's nothing new. It already, you're already using DNA that was right there that you used for something else in CODIS. It wasn't DNA obtained from a cheese sandwich or something like that. You already,
it's right there.
You already have it from the, if it was from DNA
from the
elsewhere.
Yeah.
There's nothing new.
Somebody wants to know what the de facto visualization software is now for family tree visualization. What's the software that everybody uses?
Ancestry.com. That's where we build all our family trees.
They have a whole thing there, right? I actually, when I was learning to do it, somebody was showing me how to do it. You build the entire
you can put
trees.
all the tree on there, right there, and visualize everything right there. So we build out, and we make them private and unsearchable, so the general public can't see them. But we build all our trees on Ancestry.com.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gray, have you had your DNA tested with Ancestry?
Yeah, have you done the DNA test?
Yeah, no, I'm on GEDmatch. I did a whole thing where
good.
I pretended. So what happened? The person who worked on the Schnee Oberholzer case, she actually spent time working. Like we'd do these little meetings, and she would let me. I pretended that I was an unknown person, and then I would just use the people below me and build out trees to see if I could get it back to me. It's sort of cheating. Because I know I'm looking for Hughes to pop up some point, right? So I already know who I am. So, but it was really interesting. All the different software programs. There's one from Russia that you use, and all these other ones, and you just sort of plugging away, using newspapers, and you get a hold of the email address that's on GEDmatch, and you try to look that up, maybe get a name, and once you get that name, you get the tree, and you just start putting things together based on the highest centimorgan match on GEDmatch. I mean, I feel like I have a pretty good idea of how it works, just not every little technicality that you guys are using. And the speed, definitely not fast, I can tell you that.
There's some questions here. I'm seeing, wondering why they did have family DNA on his dad, or was that genealogy? No, they did CODIS on his dad. They did familial matching between the dad and the crime scene DNA to prove it was Mr. Koberger.
Yeah, it was just a one-to-one comparison.
Home stretch. No genealogy.
Yeah, 1-to-1. Yep.
Yeah, it was just comparing 1-to-1, knowing they have the sample. They really know that they got the guy. They got a warrant, got the trash, compared one-on-one sample, and it was 99.99999% the dad,
correct.
I guess. So.
There's another one about John Bonet. You know what? That's going to be a mess because that whole house was so contaminated. There's only one place that DNA will ever be relevant on that, and that is in the middle of the knot where she was garroted. They had to tie a knot, and there's no reason DNA should be in that knot unless somebody tied the knot and strangled her with it. That's my opinion. I don't think DNA from anywhere else in that house is going to be relevant. They have DNA from the panties she wore, and that, I think, maps back to the manufacturer because DNA survives. You package it, you manufacture it. Also, DNA can get through the laundry. So, dad is playing with the baby one night, goes on a business trip the next day, and, the DNA is, something happens to the baby, and the next day the dad's DNA is on the clothes. Dad wasn't even there.
Yeah. In a crime like this, they're not going to be using touch DNA, really. I mean,
right?
It's just, you got so much stuff going around. You got to make sure that the DNA sample. It's not a hunting, like you're not fishing for something.
It can't be a fluke sample,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
You're not like on a doorknob somewhere. You got to get something that the killer would have left, just like that sheath.
Yeah.
If there was skin underneath fingernails, or a blood sample that didn't match any of the other people.
Semen. Like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you need at crime scenes. The rest of it, people can explain things away, and it's just. I'm sorry, my wife's calling. I just got to say she's on her way home. I just got to answer. I'll be right. You can keep talking.
Go ahead.
Okay. No. So anyway, I think John Bonet. The John Ramsey is out there trying to get new DNA done and stuff like that, but he's got to try, I guess. I don't know if he was involved or not, but he's got to try. I don't know. I don't know why he's continuing, I don't know. He is under suspicion for that, but maybe he isn't involved. We don't know. But I don't know if they'll ever get DNA from that because it's so
Aren't you guys a
lot
like...
of what we work on is with obvious DNA samples, like not touch DNA, like what you said, Gray. Like we have some cases where it's laughably ridiculous. We had one case that came in where there were 2,000 nanograms of DNA available in the case, and I thought that's a ridiculous amount.
Yeah, that's like a bucket of blood.
And it turns out that the person committed sexual assault and left the condom at the scene.
Oh, that's a lot. Yeah,
that's pretty bad.
Thought, you have to be a pretty stupid criminal to do that.
Well, that's what John Miller. That's what John Miller did in the April Tinsley case. He left he sent his condoms around, but he didn't think they had an original sample, but they did from way back at the beginning. That he didn't realize that.
And you know what? At April Tinsley, I'll tell you some more about it. I actually did the DNA on that, the Y DNA on that case. That was like the second or third case I ever, after the Phoenix Canal murders, I did the April Tinsley case. And I came up with the name Miller. I kept saying, gosh, I don't want to marry anybody by the name Miller. He might be a killer.
Yeah, because the other case had a Miller too, right? Your other one?
Right. I said, is this like a sale on Miller Killers here?
Well, Miller's a little bit.
And-
Miller's a little bit like Johnson, though, right? There's a few of them.
Yeah, I said, if I get another case and it turns out to be Miller, I'm quitting. You know, this keep me away.
Just go like this. It's Miller. You don't even have to. Right when they call you, don't even check it. Don't even look at it. It's going to be Miller.
She's like, his last name is Miller.
It's like Jim. You know, like I always say, his name's Jim. The killer's name is Jim. You got a good shot at it. You know.
And you have a good chance, you know?
Yeah.
I used to do that Mardi Gras when I'm watching the parade and people are throwing beads and everything. I say, Kathy, hey, Kathy, do you remember me? I don't know who's Kathy or anything.
Yeah.
So every now and then a girl would look at me like, wait a minute, do I know you? And start throwing me beads and throwing me all kind of stuff, thinking, oh, I don't know who she is, but I better throw her beads. So I did the Y-DNA on that, and it was Miller, and I told the detective the name's Miller, and they never did anything. And then, poof, guess what? It's Miller.
You know what's interesting about that is in that case, the FBI was so accurate on their profile, it's almost stunning. They knew exactly where the person lived. They said northeast, was it Fort Wayne,
Really?
Indiana, and they knew exactly where it was. So all they had to do was take Miller and probably put it in that little quadrant. There's not a lot of people that live out in that rural area, and they would have had
Right.
like probably 15 names, and boom, they might have got the guy a lot earlier after you'd said that. You know, to be honest with you.
Yeah, they should have listened to me.
And he
You know,
lived
I
in-
can't tell
yeah.
you how many people I tell you that I say you should have listened to. I told you so.
Well, the profile
you
said
know-
something like, what did it say? It said that he would live near a school, and it was just unbelievable. He lived in a trailer right next to a school, right next to it so he could watch, and he only did one crime. And they even said he
Yeah.
likely might be one of those people, but he acted just like a serial killer with the taunting
Yeah.
the police for years and years. 1992, scribbled on the barn, or was it 90? Yeah, or maybe something like 2 years after the murder, he scribbled on a barn. I think it was 90, and in 2004 he put the
I remember
condoms
that.
on
I remember
bicycles.
that.
Yeah, he's just nuts.
Yeah. Well, you know, there was a comment about John Ramsey definitely not being involved. The comment was here. We don't know. Nobody knows what happened. You
Yeah.
know, so
Mhm,
you
right.
can't exclude or include anybody. He could have been, he couldn't, and just because he's promoting a new DNA test doesn't mean anything. The whole house was contaminated. His DNA is all over the house.
Mhm.
He's got to be a suspect from other points of view other than DNA.
Right.
And I will tell you that letter, you know, it was interesting. I was in a webinar one time on forensic accounting. Okay, I'm just sitting in, whatever. I want to know about what they do. No big deal. And the guy actually was an expert on forensic linguistics, because when he goes to court and the witnesses are explaining, you know, where the money came from, or the trust or whatever, he's got to read those legal documents, and he's got to know whether the attorney wrote it or the actual guy wrote it, the witness, you know. And so he becomes this expert on knowing who wrote what of forensic linguistics, you know, the choice of words and the level of sophistication. Anyway, and he says, you know, his example was the John Benet Ramsey letter. He says, I'll tell you what. He said that was written by a woman. And it was very surprising. He said that women will have a much different way of talking. A man will say, would you like a cup of coffee? And a woman will say, how about a hot cup of coffee? You know, it's different. It's textured. It's more social, not as direct. So if you read that letter, there's so much, it's going to jump out at you that a woman wrote it. Furthermore, it's somebody who's a mother, because it says something like, it's going to be a long day. Here's where you bring the ransom money, and we'll send you instructions and so on, like they usually do. And then after that, she says, get a good night's sleep, because it's going to be a long day tomorrow. What does that have to do with a ransom note? That's a mother writing. Yeah. Or, the amount of money you're going to have to bring is going to be really heavy. So, get ready, bring a couple of boxes. Or why is she saying stuff like that? It's a woman, and it's a mother who, adds these little pieces of motherly advice along the way.
I think guys also answer that question. would you like another cup of coffee? And women would say, that would be lovely, thank you. And I would say, sure. I don't know what the deal is, but you guys, sure, I don't know what that would be lovely. Really? I mean, lovely. I mean, but yes, my mom says it all the time. I can't believe it. But anyways.
Yeah. So anyway, so you can't. The conventional wisdom would be Patsy wrote that. Now, did she? We don't know. So you can think anything, but everybody's innocent and proven guilty. But you can't rule anybody out at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sort of like that case. I'm just over it. It's just so common.
It's so old. It's so overdone.
Yeah, it's like everybody
maybe
goes
John
over the
likes
letter.
To be in the public eye. Maybe he knows that the whole house is so contaminated with his DNA. Who knows? People are funny. You have. That one guy, what was it? Jennifer Bastian and Michaela Welch, the two girls that were killed in King County, in the park. Michaela Welch was riding her bike in the park and she was killed and found and raped and everything. And then 6 months later, Jennifer Bastian was killed in her, while riding her bike. And it wasn't the same guys. So I turned in the name Washburn on Jennifer's case, and the detectives didn't believe it. They said, this is snake oil. How do you get a name out of the DNA? Why DNA? So anyway, there was only one Washburn in the whole story, and that was a man who came forward on the first murder. And he said he saw a guy running away from where Michaela was killed, and he described him, and, it was an eyewitness account. So they kind of just, put it in the case file. There was nothing more they could do. And when Jennifer's case came up and I came with the name Washburn, they said, well, it can't, it really, let's just ignore him because why would he come as a witness in the first murder and then kill the second girl? It's kind of crazy. And after like 158 DNA samples over a period of 2 years, they had one more slot in the chip and they put his DNA in there. And guess what? That was him. It's people do funny things. I mean, why would he be a witness on number one and kill the second girl? And like, why would Mr. Kohlberger, come in, wear gloves and forget that he left his knife sheath? It's just not, you're not supposed, it's not supposed to make sense.
Well, people say it was stupid that he left it there, and that really kind of makes it sound like that he intentionally left it there. Of course, he didn't leave it there intentionally, Kohlberger.
No, I don't think so.
And there's also, I mean, maybe you could speak to, a lot of people think that the sheath being found upstairs means that those two girls were killed first. And to me, it doesn't mean that at all. It just means that that's where it came off, maybe in a struggle with somebody. It has no meaning at all. You have no idea what came first. He may have, I picture him coming into the house, probably might just have it in his pocket, not really on his belt, because he's walking around with that. People would see it. So he maybe had it in his pocket, pulled it out. It sort of stuck it, kind of was sticking loosely in his pocket. Then he's attacking, and then somehow it fell out of the pocket or something. We don't really know how that happened.
Yeah. Well, I say it's not like a checklist. As you're leaving the building, you see, well, do I have my pants zipped up and my, my sheath in my pocket? And, wait, I have chewing gum, shouldn't leave that, didn't spit it out, got to go collect. You don't have a checklist. You just sort of try to get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
And realize, too, that this building they had a lot of activity in this building, even at 4 o'clock in the morning with the DoorDash and the other, so he's got to get out of there because you don't know when another party guy is going to come in, at 4:30, a half an hour later, 20 minutes later. Somebody could still be, he doesn't know who's in there. That's really interesting. I wonder if he did know how many people lived there. He was watching the building.
Yeah, well, he had been there 11 times since in the last couple months. In the late evening to early morning hours, he was pinging off the same tower that 1122 King Road was. So he was definitely stalking.
He could have been waiting till all the kids were in the building.
Yeah,
so that he wouldn't have been surprised by another half an hour later, some other party guy coming in.
Yeah, well,
I probably knew their routine.
Well, they got home. Everybody was home by 2 o'clock. So he probably knew, they're always home a certain time. So he drives over there, and he probably waited in that back road for all the lights to go completely off, and then waited a little bit more time for people to fall asleep. But it turns out Zaina was still awake all the way up until 4:12. She was on TikTok. So I don't know if we could go over some of this. What elements do you want to talk about? Anything?
I want you to show Misty your 3D thing, because that was magnificent. Misty, this is great. Look what Gray did.
Well, yeah, I built the whole 3D model of the house. Let me put that roof.
I remember you told me about that. Yeah.
Let me put the. Hold on a second. I think there's a. Oh, I think it's good. Yeah. So the way I can just have it go through it right here by going to the camera. So this is it. This is the guy right here. I mean, I just have a character that I have walk through the house, but I attach the camera to his head and a light. So
okay.
But you can't see that on this version. But as the door opens, this door right here is the room where apparently it was more like storage for people. Hey, thanks, Tamara. It was more like storage. They saw golf clubs in there on one of the body camera footage. And then people started to speculate at that point that maybe one of the roommates lived on the second floor, which turned out to be true. This room right here is where one of the roommates lived that survived. This is, again, on the first floor. The building is really odd shaped. So we're right here, but let me escape from this and go outside again. Let me just show you the shape of the building. It's crazy. So this is the first floor right here. That's where we're at right now. Then we're going to go up some stairs. This is the second floor. They always call it 2A. That's where the living room is and where Zaina's bedroom is. Then there's this little step down to this 2B here. That has the kitchen and one of the other surviving roommates in this room right here. So there's the kitchen, surviving roommate. And right above the surviving roommate is Madison's room on the third floor, where both of them were killed, Madison and Kaylee. And then Kaylee's bedroom is right here, the sliding glass doors. It's just above the kitchen. All right.
Okay.
So now we're going back inside the house here. And here's those stairs that go up from the first floor up into the living room area. And then there's Zaina's bedroom right there. So you go like this. And in Zaina's room.
Zaina was a survivor, right?
No, she was killed.
No, Zaina and Ethan were murdered.
Zaina and Ethan are the boyfriend-girlfriend combination. She was
she was the one with the boyfriend. Okay.
But she was still awake she's the one that got the DoorDash meal at 4-ish and was still on TikTok at 4:12, which is crazy. I mean, so anyways, apparently they were on the floor, both of them in here. You can barely see this one, Zaina. So if I move, I don't know if I can move.
Yeah, she was eating while she was doing TikTok.
Yeah, so I could move her over a little bit so you could see, like maybe that's where she was on the ground or something. Then right here, you're back in the living room again. Now that other surviving roommate was in this room, and that's something we speculated on, and then there was another channel out there that showed pictures inside the room with her hanging stuff on, and then the affidavit confirms that Dylan, this girl right here was in a horrific place. I mean, she could hear everything. So look how close that room is to Zaina's room. We're in Zaina's room now. Look at just boom.
Oh yeah.
So that's just right there. So that's just right there. So that's her room. So Zaina's room's right here. So there's that roommate. The kitchen's to the right, but the camera, I could look at this camera and you'll see it. There's the kitchen, right? So now let me go back to the other camera really quick. This is the one on the head of the, so that camera right there looked into the kitchen. So just so you can see that it's right there. So then, so if the killer came through the sliding glass door, he would have came from the direction of that camera, just like this. If he went upstairs first, he'd go upstairs just like this. And if he knew where Kaylee lived, this is Kaylee's room right here. He might have went in here, but the dog was the only thing that would have been in this room, apparently. She might not have been in this room. Then right here, this is a bathroom. And this room right here is Madison's room, where Kaylee and Madison were both found dead on this bed with a sheath right next to him. That's where the sheath was right there. Then, the killer maybe after that would have came down the stairs. Now, in the scenario that most people believe in, at this point, he would have gone in there and then killed Zaina and Ethan. See, you would just go down here and take a left. Are you guys able to visualize this pretty well just looking at this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now you've seen it. I saw it a little bit earlier, but now this really makes sense.
Yeah, and then right here is the room that the survivor, Dylan lived in, right? And so look at this angle right here. This is basically how it would have been. And I have a camera in this room, so let me switch over to that one. Or I think it's the other one. Hold on a second. This camera right here. Yeah. So look how crazy that right there, that's the character I have walking around. But just kind of let's just leave it here, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to screw up my animation here, but I'm going to open this up a little bit. So it's like this. And then there's probably let's see, where is he at? Is he coming? Yeah, there he is. You can see him in the background walking by, going to Zena and Ethan's room. And then after that, right there, see him coming? That might be what she saw. I don't know if you can see it, but he's right there. And he walks by right there, and she saw the bushy eyebrows. Okay?
Interesting.
Yeah, and that was later, and then, so I'm just showing you that camera just to see what that looked like. But from the head of the individual, let me go back. So after that room, he goes back down the stairs into the roommate that survived, Dylan Mortensen. Then she opened that door. This is what her eyes would have seen him coming. Oh, look at the bushy eyebrows. But from the killer's eyes, when he was leaving, he went just like this. And then out the sliding glass door right there. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, but it makes it...
That's really good, right?
Well, thank you.
That only took like 10, 15 minutes to kill those people.
Yeah, it might have even been less. I mean, we don't really know. What's interesting is that he gets there at 4:05-ish. I do have a video from earlier if you want. How about we focus in on the 4 o'clock to 4:20 time frame that's in the affidavit? Would that be interesting?
Yeah.
Because that's really the main...
To me it would be.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of...
To me it would be.
Yeah, okay. So let's... so that's really the main... What was that?
Sorry, that's my boyfriend's playing NHL right now.
Oh, okay. That's awesome.
Sorry.
All right, hold on. I do have a video from earlier today. So let's just show this one right here. Now, I don't know if you can see this, but this is what I made earlier. So look at the clock up there. This red car is going to be you're kind of covering it, so you, let's see, let me move you guys around. Let me move you over here, and you over here. Something like that. Did I get? So this is like the Jordache, really kind of crappy animation, but here's the Jordache, or DoorDash. I keep saying Jordache over and over again, because I don't know why. But DoorDash pulls up, and it's like 4 o'clock, right? So at this point, he's probably going to go to the door, drop it off, and then he would probably back out, and he drives away. Let's just say like 4:02, just to give him some...
And that's the house. Show Misty where the house and the patio is. Where he comes.
Yeah.
You see the house is right. Just point
right
to the
there.
house.
That's the house. There's a patio right here. That's where he walked out in that video I just showed.
Yeah, the patio's in the back there. Okay.
Okay, so there goes the DoorDash guy. Then in a minute here, I keep saying Jordache though, which is a brand, right? Like a designer. And so right now we're at 4:02. I'll just move it forward a little bit. And likely the killer was probably, Brian was, Koberger was watching. Probably drove by one time. And then what he does is he comes over here, I think, because they say he turns around at number 52 of 500 Queen Road. This is 500 Queen Road, but we know that there's a camera. Can you see where I got the pin there? There's a surveillance camera that it films right over there, and I could even show it to you. If you go down to Street View right here, and you turn and look up here, the camera is right there on the top of that building, and it's shooting right into that little parking area. It's right there. So if you go up in the air, what we were just looking at was like this. So that's the camera. So that's how they know that he turned around in there. They wouldn't really know that, So he turns around, comes back out, and then there's another camera on this building. So that would have shown various things. But he comes out here, and let me play that. So after he turns around, it's a really crappy animation here. I mean, it's like he's doing cookies and crazy thing. But anyways, he comes out, and then right in this spot, according to the affidavit, not right there, just a little bit back, he was right here, and he was trying to park. They can see him doing this. I don't know. I think they know that by the tracks on the ground. Like he was struggling, because there's no camera that films that right there. So they know somehow that he was sort of trying to figure out how to park. And he wasn't able to, I think he meant to turn here, but he passed it, and then he couldn't back up because there's a garbage can there or something. So then he goes down to the end of the street down here. Let me back it up a little bit. So let me just play it. So he goes down here, and he does a 3-point turn, because this camera absolutely shows exactly what he did. And then he likely drove up here, and he parked back behind. This is my opinion. They didn't say that. But I think he would have parked back here, because from up there, you can see through the woods and the lights that are on in the house and know exactly when they were turned off. And
interesting.
Yeah. So let's see. Do you want me to show you a picture of the house from up in the air just to get a better visual?
Why not?
Yeah. Let me get that a second. There's a whole bunch. I have a ton of them I use for sort of references for helping with the outside of the model too. Like here's one right. This is a pretty good one right here. This shows you perspective. So this is the door that the killer just came out in my little animation that I made right here.
Okay.
So that's the second floor. Right above that, this is Kaylee's room right here. Madison lives down here.
Mm-hmm.
The roommate that heard everything lives just below her over on that far side. This is the first floor, but you can see how they built up a wall where it's built up.
Right.
So the first floor only has one narrow strip. Then it goes up into the second floor, and then there's 2B. There's this little 8-foot sort of jaw. It's a really crazy house. There must have been like 9 architects that worked on it. And so right there where that white car is, right here, that's about where he sort of stopped to try to turn, but then he drove this direction. So we can actually take a look at that by going to Street View here. I can just put it the Street View right here. That's right here. So when he got there, he struggled, and then he drove to the end of that street, did a 3-point turn, came back around this way, like this, and then I think he took a right to go up behind the house instead of parking in a sort of a lit area right in front of the house. That'd be kind of dumb, because he actually came through the second floor sliding glass and then exited that same place. So wouldn't be kind of weird to go in the back but park in the front. So I'm just showing you this out of sequence here. So this is 404, and he parks there, and then at 420, that's when there's all the other stuff goes on in between that. So at 420, he probably gets in his car, takes off, and he zips by. He's really speeding. I didn't make it that way though, but he speeds by this camera right here, takes a right, and then gets out of there, just like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he's gone.
Well, he wasn't. No, wait. One thing is, I thought he would wait until all the kids were in the house. He didn't do that. He got there, and he didn't, and he didn't know. Well, he could guess, but maybe he surveilled the house to know what time they usually are home, because he didn't sit there and wait for everybody to get home.
Well, everybody was home. Yeah, but he just got lucky.
He didn't know that.
Yeah, he wouldn't know specifically. He just would have had to guess, but I mean, 3:30 in the morning is when he got there, so you think in the area, and he started to surveil. So maybe that seems pretty reasonable to think that everybody's home by 3:30, don't you think?
Right.
Well, he mustn't. Now, you don't know. I'd say these people doing DoorDash at 4 o'clock in the morning, that wouldn't be my first guess. For me, I don't know. You don't know. But anyway, that's interesting to think whether he knew everybody was home or not. You could assume by 4, but these are college kids, in a house. There was not that many people in the house. There was, 6 or 8 people in the house. So it's not like a big dorm with tons of people in it.
Yeah, there was 6 people. There was 5 people that lived there, and they were all home. And then Ethan was just staying overnight.
6, right?
Yeah, Ethan was staying overnight, so I don't think he was ever meant to be there for the killer.
Yeah, I don't think so. But there was 6 people, so and he did it one at a time, one room at a time. So that's the way you control a group of people. And the anyway, you have 2 people, and they're so scared. 2 girls that are so scared. He attacks one. The other one is probably going to try and fight him away or something like that. You'd say, why didn't the other girl run out in the hall and start screaming? Well, she's trying to help her friend, or he's controlling both of them. He's got them both in the corner of the room, and he's threatening both of them. Why they didn't scream is another question.
Well, I think there was at least. See, we don't know exactly what sounds were made. We just know what they put on the document. There was crying and whimpering going on. I mean, let me just go through. Like, here's the timeline. The really quick version right here is at 4 a.m. Dylan here is playing with a dog. That would be Kaylee, but Kaylee lives on the other side of the house from here. So, let's look at my model. It's easier. So if you're looking at the model here, if I get to go up in here, the roommate that survived lives right in this room, but Kaylee was up here. But I mean, it is kind of a small house, so I guess it's possible that.
There was somebody next door. There was a house next door, maybe to the northwest. Is that it? And they heard the surveillance camera picked up some. They didn't see anything, but the security camera picked up people talking or a thud and the dog barking and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, that's coming up in the timeline here. So it says that.
Yeah.
So Dylan here is playing with the dog, and then the DoorDash got there at the same time, basically. Around 4, Coronado received the DoorDash. Then at 4:05, that's when I have him parking the car, because at 4:04 is when he was doing the turns and everything. So like 4:05, he parks the vehicle, and then I just do some guessing and say 4:06, Dylan, the surviving roommate that lives below Madison, that heard everything, she hears who she thought was Zaina say, someone is here. Or she didn't know who said it, but law enforcement thinks it. Zaina said, someone is here. And then Dylan looks out of the room and sees nobody. So Dylan is her name, the surviving roommate. So she looks out the door and didn't see anybody when she heard somebody say, someone is here. So what does that mean? Was someone is here? Is that when there was a knock at the door from DoorDash? I mean, I haven't really heard anybody guess it. Maybe that, but would she ask that question if it was she was waiting for DoorDash? Would you say someone's here? You would probably know that that's who that was, right? You would probably.
You would say, "Hey, your DoorDash is here."
Mm-hmm. So it's likely that person's referring to somebody else. Whoever said that, they don't know for certain, but it's probably Zaina. Right. And then at 4:12, just 6 minutes later, apparently Zaina is still on. She's on TikTok. So does that mean she was using TikTok at 4:07 and then was killed, or she was attacked, and it was still open, and it was still looked like she was still on there? I don't know what TikTok. That could be. I don't know what TikTok does.
That could be. You'd have to see where the computer was in relation to the bodies.
Or the phone.
Or I think it was her phone. Yeah. And
then, or the phone.
And then it says something like Dylan, and then I'm just guessing at 4:15, Dylan hears crying from Zaina's room. So again, when we go back to how close that was, so let's do this.
And they did say that Zaina and Ethan were known to fight together frequently in the apartment. I read that somewhere, that
would they? Okay.
Crying necessarily from Zaina's room might not have been a red flag.
Yeah. So this is Zaina's room. And that's that room of Dylan, the surviving roommate. So she could have easily heard crying from Zaina, right? Easily. Right. Yeah, so I just put that at around 4:15. I don't really know when that was. Then at 4:17, whimper and a loud thud, likely Zaina or Ethan being attacked, is what I said, as the bathroom. And one of the reasons they know it's their audio, the whimpering sound is likely Zaina or in Ethan because they specifically mentioned in the affidavit that there was a bathroom up near Madison's room. And so the bathroom is, see how you can see inside Madison's room? That wall right there is a bathroom. So that means it's going to buffer the sound dramatically to be able to get out to the camera outside, where Zena's room is right at the window there. And that room right there is 57 feet from the camera that recorded it. So that's how you're going to hear whimpering. And so does that make sense? You know, like
yeah.
So that at 417 there was whimper and a loud thud, likely Zena or Ethan being attacked, as the bathroom wall and location of Madison's room would exclude it from being heard on the 1112 security camera. And then at 418, Dylan, the surviving roommate, one of them, after hearing the crying and likely after hearing the thud, because she's right there in the house, opened her door and stood in frozen shock as the figure clad in black clothing and a mask that covered the person's mouth and nose walked towards her. Dylan described the figure as 5'10" or taller, a male, not very muscular, but athletically built with bushy eyebrows. And then what's funny is I actually talked to Misty before I let her know the sort of this inside info that she missed about the bushy eyebrows. Remember that?
Yep.
Yeah. So, bushy eyebrows. The killer exited out of the sliding glass door in the kitchen. So Dylan saw him walk that way, and that's how he left. And then just 2 minutes later, the car is zipping by that surveillance footage camera at 1112. So
interesting.
But what do you? I guess what the thing is, what do you think of the timing? Like, what scenario? Because when you look at that, it's hard. It's a hard one. Because it could be where he attacked Zena and Ethan first at like 4:11, went upstairs, and then you hear this person say, what was the second thing it was?
I'm there to help you.
Yeah,
I'm here to help you.
Yeah, I'm here to help you. That's the killer said that, right? That's not going to be Ethan who said that. Because he's being attacked too. He was stabbed and everything.
Yeah.
So the killer would have said there was somebody here, and then the other part was, I'm going to, it's okay, I'm going to help you. Okay, so that sounds like the killer again. Was that when he came back down from upstairs and heard more whimpering and needed to finish them off? You know,
that could be. That's really sad.
Yeah, it sucks.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Because why would you say that?
No, because you leave a room, you're, trying to stab people, and you leave a room, they're going to call 911. You're not going to leave them alive.
But let's say he thought that they were dead, like they were just really, badly. And he goes upstairs, but then he hears them still whimpering. Because why would you say to somebody that you're already stabbing, why would you say to them, it's okay, I'm going to help you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's weird, right? I mean, or unless you're just totally psycho, that's your MO or something, just.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's not supposed to make sense, like I say.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And, it's kind of interesting. I get it now why the woman, what was the one that opened the door and saw him and went back in?
Dylan. Yeah.
Dylan, there's only like 5 or 6 people in this house. I thought it was more like a day or so ago when I was reading. I thought it was more like a dorm with a lot of people. But it's not. It's a house that should only have. Somebody posted Kaylee had
6.
already moved out. She wasn't supposed to be there.
She still had her stuff there.
Really?
She still had a room with bed and everything.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's say 5 people with a boyfriend 6. So that wasn't a whole lot of people. And so if you're, if I'm in this house, say, if I'm in a dorm, not my own house, but a dorm, I have, say, several of the friends in the same building. And this really weird guy, I can understand. Now I understand why she was, so frightened. I thought for a minute it was a dorm with lots of people, so you never know. It could be somebody's really weird looking boyfriend or something. But no, it had to be a stranger because she knew everybody in the house so well.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. You're so scared you don't know what to do. You lock yourself in, and you don't think that the rest of the house been murdered.
Right.
You just think
you're just really scared, and you don't want to make. Because it's one of those things too. When you have a missing. Well, I've covered a lot of missing persons cases, I think it's similar where as soon as you make that call to police to tell them somebody's missing, then it's final. It's like you've committed to this really. So as soon as you call 911 on something like this, I think then you're sort
admitting
of
to yourself.
That's exact word that just popped in. You're admitting that something bad happened. Yeah, it's just
right.
And so she was probably just petrified. I really doubt she slept much the rest of the night, and she didn't want to come out and see what happened. And she was probably nervous. She wanted the sun to come up and people to be moving around.
Well, another thing,
she wanted to wake
another
up
thing
and
is
think that it was a bad dream.
Yeah, and the thing is, she didn't hear anything else after that. So, she probably thought, well, everybody went to sleep, or I don't know who this guy was, but there's nothing going on. Everybody's being quiet.
Exactly. Yeah.
If it was, something really bad, one of the other roommates would, say something, or I'd hear something. But she didn't know that, everybody had already been murdered. They in the morning they called and they said somebody was unconscious. So, they didn't know. I mean, and you wouldn't exactly guess that off the bat that, so the whole house has been murdered and you're just locked in your room. She didn't hear anything, so she didn't call. She didn't think anything was wrong.
Yeah.
She heard a lot of, in the kitchen, the guy was like breaking stuff and making a hole. That would have been different. But she saw this weird guy and she didn't hear anything else. So she just probably went to sleep, or like you say, didn't know what to do, stayed up and waited to see if anything happened, and nothing happened. He was already going out the door. Nothing happened.
Yeah, sorry. There was a issue up here. I gotta.
Yeah, right.
Sorry, there was like a. I don't know. See, here's the thing: is I don't allow people to bash the surviving roommates because people keep going, "Why didn't they do this?" And why did they? It's irrelevant to the case. The killer.
It doesn't matter why she didn't react the way people think she should have reacted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's exactly what I said.
Yeah, but you can't just predict. I've been in situations where ahead of time I'd say, well, if that ever happens to me, and then it happens and you're the same way. You just freeze. A lot of people on the Titanic, they just sat on the deck going, they couldn't move. They couldn't do anything. I mean, when something happens, you can't move.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't move. You can't think. So a lot of this is not really supposed to make sense. That's what I said. He left a knife. He didn't have a checklist. She didn't call 911. She didn't hear anything. She thought it was quiet. Maybe somebody walked through the house. Maybe it was a burglar, but he's gone. She doesn't go out to
She was probably just
look.
as scared as anything else. And, like you said, Gray, it's like once you call 911, you're admitting to yourself there's a problem.
Yeah.
So she, could have just been in a state of panic and thought, okay, I'm just going to go lay down right now. I'm not hearing anything. I'm not seeing anything anymore. I'm just going to try to get some sleep. I don't want to, she probably, like me, when something bad happens, I'm like, well, I don't want to overinflate a situation and cause a problem. And she could have had the same kind of mindset. We don't know what she was thinking.
Yeah, and she didn't hear the other roommates. She didn't hear the other roommates, say anything.
Exactly.
Right. So she may have even told herself, I think I was overreacting because there's no more noise. And she actually maybe was able to fall asleep. But when she woke up sober, she was like, she doesn't hear any other people rustling around again. Now she's a little bit more nervous again, and then gets friends to come over because, again, doesn't want to call 911 because that's sort of admitting that something really bad happened. So the friends come over, and they're the ones that see, and they use her.
Granted, I mean, what is she? 19, 20 years old?
Yeah, like 20, 21, something.
She's a child. She's a baby. Like, of course, she's not gonna know what to do in that situation.
Has she been drinking?
Yeah,
was she
all
drinking?
of them. Mm-hmm. Every one of them was.
Yeah,
drinking.
they were.
Okay, that adds to it.
Yeah,
that adds to their judgment. What they were, the judgment that they were. You know what I'm saying? So.
How dare you cut them some slack? That's.
You have to, and
I know.
I think he was kind of watching, stalking. I don't know if he just couldn't stand it anymore, and he had to go kill her. Any idea what the motive was?
I think you know what I think the motive is. I think it's very possible. This guy probably didn't do well with the ladies or whatever, but I think he was just sort of enamored with serial killers. I mean, I really do. It's weird because his professor in Pennsylvania was a serial killer expert. And interestingly enough, I'm using Ted Bundy here, but Ted Bundy lived in Pennsylvania, moved to Washington State. And guess what? Guess where I couldn't believe this last night, but on the 13th of December, 2 days before, remember how he was caught on the road driving? With on the body camera we were talking about, it was ludicrous how he was pulled over within 7 minutes of each other.
Yeah.
He goes on the 13th. He's in Colorado, and guess where?
Wow.
Who was there? Well, Bundy was there, and guess what?
Right.
When I went to the location that he was found on the show, somebody brought it up on the show, and I was like, oh, let me go look. It was I can't remember exactly, but it was only 17 miles from where he pinged there from one of Bundy's victims.
Oh, wow.
So is he like doing this weird homage thing? I mean, it just seems so strange to have those three things
going on a like sightseeing tour.
Yeah, and maybe his dad was his dad on that sightseeing trip with him, or did he meet him back in Pullman? And if not, what the hell was he doing alone 1,000 miles from his house on the 13th, and then he meets his dad in Pullman and then drives across the country to leave the Elantra in Pennsylvania? I guarantee it. But.
Right.
So he went down to Colorado beforehand?
Yeah, before he was pulled over on the 13th. It's absolutely nuts.
Oh, wow.
It's crazy.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's absolutely wild. Where was this? It was down...
And was that during the semester then? Why would he drive 1,000 miles? In a semester.
Yeah, no.
Like you're getting ready for exams or you're just finishing exams. You're not going to jump in the car and drive 1,000 miles. Believe me, you don't want to move. You want to just lay in bed with staring at the ceiling.
Yeah, let me see if I can find here it is. I think it was Melanie.
15-hour drive.
Cooley over here. Yeah, so it was right. I think it was somewhere around in here. Trying to figure if I can find the one. They were in Colorado. It was that was in the wrong place. Yeah, I had it mapped out yesterday, but it's not popping up exactly what I had yesterday. But it's really absolutely crazy when you look at that, and he's just right there. I mean, 17 miles away, and then guess what? You would drive through Utah to get there. And he killed people in Utah. He might have been on an entire... I mean, I don't think this is really crazy, wild speculation here based on...
No, I don't think it is either.
And when you think about it, the Chi Omega, he attacked 5 women that night. Bundy did it, Chi Omega in Florida. And in this house, there was 5 women in there. It was an off-campus sorority party house. That's what it was literally labeled as. And then it was also the attacks were similar in the morning. 3:30, 4 o'clock, something around those times on a Sunday morning. And I don't know. Just too many similarities in there for me.
Yeah, that is weird.
Another one is we talked about that the girl, that opened the door and kind of saw him and yet, kind of saw this guy all covered up with the bushy eyebrows.
Mm-hmm.
That happened at the Chi Omega house when Bundy attacked those co-eds. There was a woman, I told you that, in the lobby. She had just come home, or she was in the dark in the living room right as she came in, and she saw Bundy walk right across her out the door after he'd killed everybody. Walked out the front door,
Mm-hmm.
and she gave a artist rendition of what he looked like.
Let me get back up to our Idaho place. There we go. Yeah, so it was a survivor in that one too. I wonder after the killings if they get into this weird sort of mental phase where they just have tunnel vision and they're not seeing anything. I
don't know.
Like they're in a zone, like they've killed people, and then when they're leaving, they're not seeing other people to then attack. They've already satisfied whatever need.
I think he wanted to get rid of the knife. That was one of the priorities. And that, his little, he drove around, right? 3 hours away or something. He was getting rid of the knife.
Well, this guy here, look how crazy this is. After the murder, so now we know why. I remember I don't know if you probably weren't watching, but everybody else on my show, how I would circle this area here and say, This is the only area that they wanted cameras from. And we know that now because early on, they already had this white Elantra, and apparently it left just like this, down here, and it went onto this road here, and then he probably wound down all these weird back roads. He even pings down here in Janice, up here, bing, bing, bing. He goes this really slow route back up into Pullman here instead of the really simple route right there. And they have all these pings right here. This is when he's leaving 253. Then on the way back, he gets back into town at 525. But because he took that really long drive, it took probably an hour the way he went instead of 15 minutes, which is the normal route. Yeah, so they actually have him dead to rights. They've got him, his cell phone and the Elantra ping in the same locations at the same time. Like I
don't know how he expects to be exonerated. To me, that's except for insanity. There's just no way.
And what was one of the other? He went down here on the same day. So the day of the murder. So he gets home 5-something in the morning. But then later he drives all the way down to Lewiston, Idaho. And his vehicle is seen, I believe, at a pinged off of the same, probably a Wi-Fi then in this case, at Cup of Joe 11/13/2022. So that was around 12:36. And then this camera picked him up at the same time. So they have the Elantra and his phone right here. Okay, so they've got that. Then right here at the Albertsons, he goes over here 10 minutes later at 12:46 to 12:49, and they actually see him getting him in the store. So now you know it's his face, the phone, and the Elantra. Okay, so he goes into the store and he exits the store at 1:04. They don't know what he bought, so he must have bought it with cash, I guess. And then after that,
he got something to eat. He bought something to eat.
Yeah, maybe something to eat, but check it out. Look where he went after that. It's crazy. He went way out in the middle of absolute nowhere over here. And his phone pinged off of this town, whatever tower uses this town here, at 5:32 in the morning. So maybe this is where
morning.
I mean, in the afternoon. Excuse me, in the evening. So,
okay.
So about like literally 5 hours later, his phone's pinging over there, and he's, what is he doing? Getting rid of the knife or something, or?
Yeah.
And
he's got his phone on. He's got his phone on, right?
Yeah, and then it turned off for 3 hours. So he turned it off for 3 hours once he got there, which makes you think, is it possible that he's head faking everybody? Like, here's where I went, and then you turn it off, then you backtrack and drive another 40, 50 miles the other way and then throw the knife. But he's not smart enough like that, doesn't seem like, right?
Yeah, it's just chaotic. It's not. It's chaotic. He's crazy. I don't know if he was on drugs or something.
Yeah, well,
maybe he's going to say he blacked out and he can't remember. But why did he target those people? That's another thing. Is that maybe it's a Bundy copycat or something?
Well,
it could be.
The dad, Steve Gonzalez, thinks that he said he found some sort of connections on Kaylee and him. And they did work at a restaurant, a Greek restaurant. And they do have a vegetarian menu. It's not a vegan restaurant like a lot of people say, but they do have vegetarian menu there. So maybe he went in there because apparently this guy's a hardcore vegan. Like if you even cook meat out of a pan, he'll never use that pan ever in his life.
Oh wow!
So, that's pretty hardcore there.
Yeah, I guess the old dishwasher doesn't get rid of enough or something.
Did he sleep at all? Did he go back at home for 5 o'clock? He must have slept some and then went to Lewiston or something. He must have slept a few hours.
Yeah, maybe he went home and slept because he got home at 5-something in the morning. So yeah, maybe 3 or 4 hours or so he could have went to sleep.
He could have been on uppers too, the way he was doing all this stuff. You know how weird it was.
Well, yeah, like him and his dad drove. They never stopped driving. What do you think about that, Misty? About him, like his dad flies there. What do you make of that whole thing? It's kind of weird, right?
It is weird. I don't know what to make of that. I mean, I could see almost him doing it, being on the adrenaline dump of what he just did, but doing it with his dad, I don't know. That's weird.
I mean, what would you think that his dad might go out there for?
Right.
Like if he was going to go there and it was legitimate, what would be a reason to do that?
To help drive back.
But what for though? Since he already can drive. The Brian Koberger can drive. Why did the dad go there?
Because it's a long drive.
Mm-hmm.
To help drive.
So maybe like a bonding moment or something, right? Hey, but are you really going to do that and drive nonstop like truckers, where you because they didn't stop one? It's just like they just kept going.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I've driven long distances and it's easier and you have somebody that can just take your place for a while. I've driven from California to New Mexico, I think it was. And John Patrick, we were in John Patrick's van. And when he got tired, I drove for like 100 miles so he could just take a nap. And then we'd switch off. I got him back behind the wheel after that.
But what was a hurry, though? I mean, the thing is that we're talking about the 15th. Christmas is in 10 days. Why was it a hurry to get back?
Okay, I don't know.
See, that's where you start wondering, right? Because what they're trying to do, what do you think the whole reason for him wanting to go to Pennsylvania is to ditch that Elantra, don't you think? That Elantra was never coming back to Washington again.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Yeah, so
I think that's true.
So all of the speed and everything might actually be Brian's idea. The dad just might not be aware of like why we're doing this really fast and things. Yeah.
Well, we have to find out. The dad hasn't made any comments. The whole parents haven't made any comments. We don't know, what I don't think Brian actually told him he killed 4 people. I'd be surprised because Brian thinks he's going to be exonerated and he's denying everything. So he didn't admit to mom and dad he did this, and then he's telling everybody else he didn't. They were probably kind of surprised, or maybe they thought about something, but couldn't be their son. Couldn't be their son.
Right. It's amazing how these guys always think, "Oh, I'm going to be exonerated."
Yeah.
No, I don't think he will, but he's innocent until he's proven guilty.
Yeah. Maybe if he gets a good attorney, I don't know how it's going to be hard to spin out everything. Like how did a knife with your DNA get on it, and then your car's there too, but you weren't there.
And he may not have been aware of everything. They just went and said, "We're going to arrest you," and then he says, "Oh, come on, you don't, anything. I wore surgical gloves. How could they get me? How, I turned off my, I don't know." And then they probably. He didn't read his attorney may have had the probable cause, but they didn't present him with the probable cause and said, "Read this." And he said, "Oh my God, I'm guilty." Mm-hmm. They just said, "Hey, we're here to arrest you for those murders."
He said, "Have you arrested anybody else?" Right off the bat, he said that.
That's right.
Right, that's interesting. So I don't know if that means he had somebody with him, but it doesn't look like it.
No, that's a Gacy thing. Gacy did that when he was arrested, too. I think that's just a ploy.
Wow, another serial killer technique. That's incredible.
Yep.
It's like he learned about them all.
Yeah, I didn't know Gacy did that. Okay.
Yeah. Gacy did that and constantly claims that there was somebody else that should have been arrested.
Yeah, right.
So, let's see. Yeah, I was just thinking about that same... about him. He's just... I don't know, you just look at his face and he seems sort of confident, like he's just sitting there, but I think a lot of these guys sort of feel that way. I think he hadn't even... But here's the thing, when we saw him in court the other day, he still hadn't seen the probable cause affidavit. After that, he probably read it and goes, "Oh, shit. That sheath I went back to go get... The sheath that I went to go back."
From him. We haven't heard anything since then. He probably looked at it and said, "Oh, shit," and then maybe it sunk in.
He said, "Oh, sheath." Boom, man. That was a good one.
Oh, sheath.
Bam!
Okay. Oh, sheath.
That got a good one. That was terrible. Yeah.
Anyway, I think that evidence really points to that he's guilty. It points there. Now, he's innocent until he's proven guilty, so I don't want to get out there and say he's guilty. I just want to say there's very strong evidence against him. Let's say
Yeah,
that.
and his phone was turned off, by the way.
In the house?
The whole time he was there that night. Like remember those pings that I showed you at 250 in Pullman and then 5? His phone didn't turn on. It was off almost that whole time in between. You know, it's pretty crazy. They were able to get some ping information. So he was smart enough to, well, I guess you could call it smart, but it wasn't really that smart. Why didn't you just leave your phone at home? You know? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's I will tell you, I was in listening to a seminar one time about electronic surveillance, and there was a case where a woman had been assaulted. I mean, she had hooked up with a guy at a bar, they went home to her apartment. He assaulted her, sexually assaulted her. So he left and she called the police, and she told him she met him in the bar. So they went back to the bar, and they had surveillance video, but they saw them talking, but they didn't see them leave together because the camera wasn't on the door of the bar. And he didn't have his cell phone with him, so they couldn't track him. So he said, I met her at the bar. I didn't go home with her. I don't know what she's talking about. Well, the way they convicted him was that the car they were driving had sensors for the doors, and the passenger and the driver doors opened at the same time.
Oh, there you go.
So they know that she got in the car with somebody. It was her car, and she got in the car with somebody, and then so he confessed. The car had, these modern cars have a lot more sensors. So I was thinking if it was a more recent car, he have OnStar, he have GPS in the car. They equip all that stuff in there a lot, even if, for the modern cars, even if you don't really get it, you don't really order it. Sometimes it's there anyway.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's see. Anything else on this you guys want to? I don't want to. I mean, I know you guys have your own lives to do and everything like that, but.
Oh, really? No,
I appreciate you coming on here.
24 hours a day. Misty has 3 kids. Yeah. And by the way, we're not swapping identities. She don't want my problems, and I don't want 3 kids. But I love her kids. But I love her kids. Did Malachi ever get home?
No, he didn't. We had 5 canceled flights back to back, and then he didn't get home for Christmas. So
that sucks.
So when's he coming again?
Spring break.
Okay, well, good. That's good. All right. Yeah. Well, hopefully it'll be a lot. That's that life. That's life. You just tell him that.
Yep. Exactly.
And so no, we're good. We'll sign off. I see Misty yawning. She's over in Chicago.
I can always see. I can tell when she's tired of it. Plus, it's a lot later over there. It's almost 10, right?
Yeah, it's almost 10 o'clock here.
Almost 8. Yeah. So we'll sign off. We'll say hi to the freaks. We had a good time. Glad to see y'all again.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll keep building up the fund over there, but maybe we can get these labs
get
to
these
do
things
a little
actually
something.
Moving.
Yeah.
If you have any cases, Gray, you want us to look at, we have a lot of doe cases we've been being asked about. If you want to see some of them and see if you like any of them, we'll be glad to send them over.
Well, Misty can send me the ones that you guys have some right now that people have asked you about. We've already got one. What was that other one?
I've got Michigan sent me an email this morning. They've got 3 cases. They said you can, if you're interested in them, you can pick the priority of what you think, like which case you want to cover, essentially.
Were they?
And it's 3 interesting cases. So.
Oh, what are those?
Let me see.
We got 5 from Colorado. 2 are long-term. They think are long-term missing persons, and 3 they think are the victims of serial killers.
Oh, well, maybe we can throw one of those in. And what's the one from Michigan?
So there's 4 different cases. I can read them out quickly to you if you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
One is a white male found in 1977, found in the Detroit River in a Wyandotte with electrical cord wrapped around his chest.
Oh, jeez.
The second one is a black male found in 1989 in a docking station in Belanger Park. He had 4 Canadian dimes on him.
Dimes? Okay. Yeah.
Yep. The third one is a white male found in the park in the Detroit River, possibly black in 2005. They're not sure. And the last one is a black male found in 1967 floating in the Rouge River, face identifiable but never identified.
Well, that first one seemed like...
the electrical cord wrapped around the chest,
it makes it more like intriguing. Like, wow, what's going on there?
That's what I think too. So that's what I'll email them back about that one.
Okay, do that one.
Yeah, no, I have to
Yeah.
look at the ones in Colorado, but I'll look through them. I didn't get a chance today. But I'll let you know. You know, it's a retired detective I really worked with a lot that I really like him, and so he's coming around seeing what we're doing. He's checking in, and he sent me 5, but I didn't have time. I had something else to do today.
No, maybe bust out one of those the serial killer victims on that one, and we'll just still keep pumping the funds. But it's up to you guys out there. You got to support the channel with super chats and PayPal's and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then I donate
We love
over.
you, Greg. We appreciate everything.
Okay.
We love you, Greg.
Yeah, we love you
Well,
guys.
we all love you guys. You guys are awesome. What you guys do. You guys have.
Look, I'm actually. You see my
Oh yeah.
Watch Pig Doesn't Boil cup?
Oh yeah, that was Dan Carr. That was Dan Carr. Yeah, very cool.
Sitting here using it.
Yeah. So, anyways, thank you guys very much for taking the time. I'm sorry I yapped along, but I was trying to get all the data out there for you guys to look at.
No, it was great.
No. We love just sitting around talking. It's great. Look, we'll talk soon. We'll figure some stuff out. We'll come back on soon.
I'm gonna make a I'm gonna make a video though. That's a scenario video that goes with the timeline that they have. So that's gonna be that's probably gonna be creepy as hell, but just is what it is, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like your 3D stuff too.
Yeah. Well, appreciate it. Well, thanks for being here, you guys.
Okay, thank you, guys.
I'll go back to this one where you can say, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
See you guys later.
We'll see you freaks later. Bye.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye.
How do I turn it off? There it is. Ding, 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 ding. Yeah, there we go. Oh, I think they're already out of here. Yeah, so you guys, we're having one of those slow nights. You know what's amazing is I've noticed that we've had slow nights when they come on. Why is it like that for you guys? I've never really understood that part. It's a really strange scenario when they're the ones that come on. Why I try to do well on here. Yeah, they are. They're awesome, you know. So, yeah. Well, you're listening, but you got to always remember, you know, it's never. It's the same. Every show is the same. It's not different. Let me close this down here. Thank you, Carolina T, and everybody else from earlier. I wasn't able to talk because they were. So it was Kit Kat, Jessica Schubach, Christy Quasi, Kay, me, Carolina T earlier, Tosh, Quietly Frozen, Tosh again, Alley Cake, Bell S, The Mike D Experience, Will Good, Mag, Kubi, Mag, Nancy Schmidt, Quietly Frozen, and Tosh. Thank you guys very much for those. Snail, Kubi, Tamara, Lisa McCaffey Scott, Lisa Murphy, Kit Kat, Jessica Schubach. I'm just thanking everybody that I wasn't able to say out loud at the time. Salome, Anton, McClellan, Christy Quasi, and I think I got everybody else. So thank you guys. And thank you Sack and Fox Nanny and Loretta Reyes and Frazzled Cat. Very cool. Thank you guys. All right. So what do you want to do for the rest of the evening here? Should we do the phone call situation or what? It's a little bit frustrating with those labs, though. I can tell you that. It's like, come on, you guys. Jeez. We'll see how it goes, though. We'll see how it goes. So let me be back. I'll be back in a second. All right. So, or maybe 2 minutes. Thank you, Tina Susser and Vegas Andrews. Oh, by the way, I'm gonna send some money at some point for them in the same fund, but they can use it for like going to a seminar or something. They go on these trips and stuff sometimes too, so that'll be good. Hello.
You're like a mouse.
I'm a mouse.
You're really, really good to see with the chocolate.
Yeah, I found the candy in a room. Hey, thanks for gifting Scooby. Hey, would you guys be interested in talking about this other case for a minute? I kind of wouldn't mind taking a break for a couple minutes. I do have some more on this one though. They today at the house I do have something on this one though. Hold on. So today, Daily Mail put out, I mean, of course they use their sensationalistic headline, blood-saturated mattresses wrapped in white covers are hauled out of the Idaho house where 4 students were knifed to death. I'm surprised they didn't say slaughtered again. In their beds, and investigators finally begin removing victims' belongings after suspect was charged. So the defense went in there, did all their filming and all the stuff they wanted to do, and then they got to go ahead to do what they were going to do a couple weeks ago. Investigators were seen removing bloodied mattresses from the home where 4 University of Idaho students were murdered in November. 2 mattresses covered in white plastic were loaded on the trucks that pulled up just after 1 p.m. with dark stain visible on one of the mattresses. So you're looking at that and you see underneath there something. I mean, we don't know exactly what we're looking at there, so it very well could be blood. And likely is. I mean, you can see underneath the mattress there. But it might not be, though. And, there's the other mattress. This is them loading the beds into trucks. Oh, man, is that like dried blood that scraped off onto one of the... Ew, that's crazy. I think it's bizarre almost that they've left all those mattresses in there with blood on it for that long. What a grim job that is. Let's see how well they have this here. Yeah, pretty good. Yep. It's a pretty good graphic there. There's the front door. The stairs go up. This room right here is the downstairs. I mean, it's funny because see how that looks? Mine looks exactly like that if you remove. So if I just leave the first floor, let's see what happens. And I remove, let's see. Go all the way up to here. Ah, shoot. Let me do that again. From here all the way to there, hide it. And then look. See that? Look at that. It almost looks the same. Let's see if what they have on Daily Mail. Let's see. The Daily Mail on the bottom one down here has that room. Although these people are floating in the air. Don't look at these people. They're way up in the air in here. See that? They're just not connected to the floors that I have. So you got that down there. They do have the bathroom and laundry room and the other bedroom right over here. So that's there. Yeah, it's identical, really. So good job, Daily Mail, or whoever made that one. It's not too bad. I think it's strange that none of these people have contacted me saying, hey, do you mind if we use some, like a video of the model? Can you do this? Can you make it do this? Just like it was in the Arius case. It's better than anything that they're using, but they just won't do it. Let's see. Alright, so that was all I was going to show you on that. And let's take a look at this other case that's popping up right now. Now, the Ana Walsh, pretty weird one. This is also in Daily Mail. Let me get my music going. So, desperate search for Massachusetts mother of 3, 39, who vanished at 4 a.m. on New Year's Day. So that would have been 5 days ago. And failed to catch planned flight to Washington, D.C. Cops search woods near her home. The desperate search continues for a missing Massachusetts mother of 3, Ana Walsh, 39. That's her right there. Cops have launched a desperate search for a Massachusetts mother of 3 who vanished on New Year's Day after failing to catch a work flight to Washington, D.C. Ana Walsh, 39, was last seen at about 4 a.m. at her home in Cohasset, a town just 40-minute drive from Boston. Police have already used canines to search the grounds of the family home in 500 block of Chief Justice Cushing Highway. Let me check something out. I already have her in here. Come on. Man, I just put this in here a minute ago. Let's see. Her name is Ana, A-N-A. Oops, that's not gonna work. W-A-L-S-H-E. There it is, right there. Yeah, for some reason Daily Mail lists her at this address right here. And it's really pretty much a mansion. But it burnt down today. So let's take a look at that. And here it says, cops have launched a desperate search for a Massachusetts woman. Police have already used canines to search the grounds of the family home in the 500 block of Chief Justice Cushing Highway. So where is that? Let me type that in. 500. I don't think this is her home. Justice Cushing Highway. So that's where she was living. And apparently she bought that house for 800 and something thousand and sold it for 1.3 million. So looks like she lives more in this area right here. So that's the 500 block. Let's see what the 600 block is. That way we get the range. Okay. So 600 was right there. Where was 500? Alright, so somewhere right in this area. Yeah, maybe right here. Perhaps. This one. $500 Chief Justice Cushing Highway. Alright, let me look at been verified. Yeah, she made something like $500,000 on it. It's pretty big. Yeah, so she has a Ana, K-N-I-P-P was her last name before. I'm just going to see if I can find... She has 17 address history in here. So I don't see it there. So this is a family home. There it is. No, that's not it. This is on Chief Justice Highway. And see if there's an old reference. It sounded like it was a family home. Yeah, because he doesn't have... Let me check one of her relatives. No. Yeah, it doesn't pop up in there. So, anyways, apparently, Brian Walsh Wright, who said he was asleep at the time his wife walked out the door early Sunday, has been cooperating with investigators. Police have urged anyone with information to come forward and said her husband, Brian Walsh, has been cooperative in the investigation, and they have nothing to support anything suspicious or criminal at this time. Walsh was known to travel to Washington, D.C. weekly for work and had booked a flight for January 3rd, not January 1st, but authorities have presumed she was hoping to get an earlier flight before she went missing. Leaving her home at about 4 a.m. on New Year's Day, Walsh caught a rideshare bound for Logan International Airport in Boston before her flight to D.C. to her work job at a real estate company. Cohasset Police Chief William Quigley said Walsh never got on that plane and searched for the missing 39-year-old. What about the ride share, though? At this point, it's a missing person investigation. We're just trying to locate Anna and get her home safely. I mean, I wonder if she, is it possible that she's, I mean, anything's possible, right? She met somebody else or something and used that as a ruse. She got the $500,000 from March, but she's got a husband. He would get that. Friends of Walsh said that she is a wife and mother of 3 young boys, her social media platforms reflecting the life of a young family. Her husband, Brian, pleaded guilty in U.S. District Court in Boston in 2021 after being arrested a few years earlier for selling 2 fake Andy Warhol paintings. Oh boy, so this is the kind of person at this point who likes insurance stuff, and man, you sort of wonder here, like, what's going on? And fraud and things like that. So he got arrested for selling 2 fake Andy Warhol paintings to a South Korean buyer for $80,000. However, Quigley said in a press conference on Friday that the case appears to be unrelated to Walsh's disappearance. Well, yeah, but maybe his mentality isn't unrelated. Well. So if you guys could hit that like button, it'd be awesome. We got 6 new members tonight. Kind of a slow night on the super chat front, even though you guys are, better than like we used to do, but not lately. I'm trying to make it so. I mean, it was so amazing these last 2 months where I was able to donate $8,000 and $10,000, so $28,000 in a 3-month period of time. But I mean, that's just unusual times. I don't think that continues. Brian Walsh, who said he was asleep at the time his wife walked out the door early Sunday, has been cooperating with investigators, he added. It's not normal. She is missing. We automatically feel she is in danger by the mere fact she is missing. Other than that, there's no evidence to support anything illegal. Walsh is reported to have left no digital footprints since leaving her home, and her phone has been shut off since around New Year's Day. And that's that house right there. And, when was this article, by the way? Well, this is today. Police searches of her home in Cohasset with a canine, but I don't think she still lives there. Her cell phone has been off since the first of the year, Quigley said, adding that none of her credit or debit cards have been active since the first of the year. None of her credit cards or debit cards, so she hasn't used anything. She's just kind of gone. That doesn't sound good. Police in Cohart have been coordinating with authorities in Washington, D.C., who searched and found no trace of Walsh at her property there. Okay, so she does have that property there also, and I think that is in here. So let me get to that one. Yeah, it's at 5. I think it's an apartment. No, it's not an apartment. It's right here. Yeah, so I already have a pin there. It's probably like a condominium or something. Right here. 5334 43rd Street, Washington, D.C. And she's had it since 2011, this one. Ana is a remarkable woman. Her friend Peter Kirby said she's a powerful executive. She's a loving mom. She's just a loving wife. She's one of the most remarkable women we know, and we're very scared. We miss her a lot, and we're just praying for her to be safe. Everyone that knows and loves Ana, we just want her to be home safely. Evan Terrell, a friend of Walsh, who used to work with her at a hotel in Boston, told Fox News. Her husband and her boys were someone she talked to every single day, and the fact that she hasn't been in touch with them and is concerning, and it's not like her not to be in touch with anyone. So you got that. I do have her Facebook page. I got that earlier. It's right here. So I don't know if like this is real right here. You know, is that a really her on there? Or is that one of those ones you can do online where it just kind of makes a picture of you? You know, it makes it look like you're in a magazine or something. So there we go. Yeah, jeez. So loud. That hurt my ears, actually. Okay, fire burns former home of missing cohort mother Ana Walsh. Search suspended overnight. Firefighters battled flames Friday at the former home of a Massachusetts woman who hasn't been seen since New Year's Day. Heavy flame smoke were seen by reporters outside the home at 725 Jerusalem Road. So I feel like that's the same one. Yeah. So that's that house. But apparently
I'm not sure about that.
there goes Alexa. So it's right here. This is the house right here that burnt down, but she doesn't live there for a while. But man, doesn't it make you wonder? Because here's this husband that's frauding people, and now he's got a fire. Is there some connection somehow that there's an insurance payout on that? The house well, let's just read this here. It says, heavy flames and smoke were seen by reporters outside the home of 725 Jerusalem Road in Cohasset. Officials said the current residents of the home were the ones who called 911 when the fire began. A source tells 5 investigates that addresses the home where Ana Walsh resided until recently. The property last sold on March 17, 2022. So 10 months ago. Hey, thanks, Caligal3. I was wondering if, that's why it gets sort of, makes me nervous to cover something else, because it just goes. All right, thank you so much. Cohasset Police Chief William Quigley acknowledged the connection and said any possible connection between Walsh disappearance and the fire will be investigated. It's a very strange coincidence, Quigley said. We have the fire marshal's office and our detectives who will be assigned here to investigate the fire. Walsh, 39, who was last seen at her Cohasset home by a family member, so she must have another home in the area that I don't know the address, was reported missing Wednesday by her husband, who lives in Cohasset, and her employer, who is based in Washington, D.C. So let me try her husband. Maybe he has a more recent address here. And what the husband's name? Was it Brian from earlier? Was the husband named Brian? Does anybody remember that? It's in Massachusetts. Oh, my dogs are freaking out over here. So it was Brian. His name is Brian Reza Walsh. Now he's got the same 725 Jerusalem Road address. So I'm not sure where they're living. Well, oh, there it is. Ah, wow, he's had this one. It was the very last one on there. That's amazing. I got it. So let's see if we were close at all on that guess. Remember earlier where I guessed the address? Right here, I think. Or where was that? Where it was the... Now we'll see. So this is definitely going to be it. It's the same road and everything. Was I even close at all? So that says 516 Justice Cushing Highway. It was the 500 block. Huh, that doesn't even make any sense. Hold on, let me do that 500 again. Oh, well, I guess I should have been closer to that because it's right there. 516. Alright, so there's the home that they live at right currently. Come on. Alright. So it's not really that far from here. It's only... That's the house that burnt down that they used to live at. And it is 2.5 miles away. Fire department officials said they worked for about an hour to douse the flames. Most of their work had been done from the exterior because of safety concerns, including a partial collapse of the roof. 3 adults and a baby all exited the home safely. Meanwhile, the state police special emergency response team and a regional police team spent much of the day searching an area adjacent to Chief Justice Cushing Highway, Route 3A. So, you know, there's this lake over here and this huge wooded area here. Massive. I mean, that's a gigantic park here. Looks like there's some structures in there, but look how massive that is. The search was called off for the night at approximately 6:30 p.m. Officers said they covered approximately 1 square mile in their search effort on Friday. At this point, it is a missing person investigation. Cohasset Police Chief William Quigley said earlier in the day, "We are trying to locate Ana and get her home safely. We have nothing to support anything suspicious or criminal." A family member told police Walsh was supposed to take a ride share to the airport. However, officials confirmed with the airlines that Walsh did not board the plane. But I want to know more about this ride share. I mean, did she actually get on the ride share and make it to the airport, or did she miss the ride share altogether and then also not the plane? They don't seem to want to answer that part yet. It was reported that she was trying to catch a flight during the early morning hours from Logan, D.C., Quigley said. There was a flight booked. She did have a ticket issued for January 3rd. She never got on that flight. Hey, thank you so much, Patty G007. Boom shakalaka. You guys can probably hear Blue and Chloe wrestling over here. She never got on that flight. She did have a ticket issued for January 3rd, huh? So she already had a ticket for that date and also didn't use that one. Walsh commutes to work in Washington, where the family owns a townhome. That's what I just showed you guys a minute ago. Her cell phone has been off since the first of the year, Quigley said. Do you guys think it's... Let me do a poll here. Let's see. What do you think? All right, there's the poll question right there. What do you think? Is it something nefarious, or is she gone of her own free will? Did she decide one day, you know what, I'm gonna go do something else? Maybe she wanted to leave the swindler guy, met somebody else, right? Okay, you're at 91. Man, you guys are so much more sure about something like this than something even more simple to me in the Koberger case. You guys are like 90% nefarious. I mean, yeah, she wouldn't leave her boys. I'm just saying, but man, you guys are... Like when I did the poll on, don't you think it's weird that they pulled Brian Koberger over within 7 minutes of each other? No, I don't think so at all. I mean, it was like 60%. It was ludicrous.
Point, it's a missing person investigation. We're just trying to locate Ana and get her home safely. Whether we have nothing to support anything suspicious or criminal.
Who reported her missing? And
Who reported her missing? 5'2", 115 pounds.
She was last seen at her house.
Oh, and she has an Eastern European accent, so she probably sounds a little bit like Ivanka Trump.
In Cohasset
Ivanka
on
Trump,
the first
geez.
of the year, in the early morning hours, approximately 4 or 5 a.m. She was reported missing Wednesday. Simultaneously, we received simultaneous reports from her employer in Washington, D.C., as well as her husband, who lives here in Cohasset.
Was she supposed to get on a plane to go to Washington, D.C.?
Of the year, in the early morning.
Inside her home, what was she doing prior to her going missing?
She was last seen at her house in Cohasset on the first of the year, in the early morning hours, approximately 4 or 5 a.m. She was reported missing Wednesday. Simultaneously, we received simultaneous reports from her employer in Washington, D.C., as well as her husband, who lives here in Cohasset.
Was she supposed to get on a plane to go to Washington, D.C.? Was that why she would have left the house?
It was reported that she was looking, that she took a ride share from her home in Cohasset to Logan Airport to board a plane to go to.
Have you
Reagan
located the
International
rideshare
Airport
yet?
in DC.
Do you have any evidence that she actually took that?
Yeah, there you go.
We have been in contact with the rideshare companies. We have not been able to confirm.
Boom. That's the answer I needed. Well, you guys think it's cool how I can always get to the main thing there? Come on, you guys. Give me some, boom, boom, boom. So look at right there. They were not able to confirm the rideshare, and then that immediately brings the husband into question at that point.
That she actually got into a rideshare service. That being said, we know that there's situations where rideshare service, Anna is a person who commutes to DC, and sometimes the driver.
They would have come forward by now. No, there wasn't a rideshare. That's what was claimed that she got into to take away what really happened. Something else happened to her now.
Offline.
It's much more closer to home, if you know what I'm talking about.
They'll contract with the fare themselves. So we have detectives working on that right now. But at this point, we cannot confirm that she actually got into a rideshare in Cohasset. We can further, we have confirmed with the airlines, and that's been a challenge, that she did not board a plane this week.
Well, there you go. There you go. Friend said Walsh commutes to Washington during the week for work at a large real estate company, a job she started last year. She's active on social media, but friends say those accounts went silent on Sunday when she was due to catch a flight. Honestly, I'm scared, really scared, Kirby. Yeah, they should be now. That's a huge difference. I mean, if she'd got a ride share, you could come up with a scenario where she got a ride to the airport, maybe met somebody and took off, but the rideshare story is fake, and she's not the one that came up with the rideshare story. It's the husband, and there is no record at this point of anybody admitting to or saying that. I mean, a rideshare company, it's documented, right? So you'd be able to say, oh yeah, he was supposed to pick up so-and-so, and I guess it's possible somebody could have faked being a rideshare and picked her up and did something, but that's not really that likely. It's more likely the person who put out the story that she took a rideshare that should have been easily provable, but maybe they didn't think about that. There was no rideshare, so that's not good. Anyone with information about Walsh's whereabouts is asked to contact Detective Harrison Schmidt at 781-383-1055, extension 6108. Police were here, searched wooded area Friday. Let me look at her Facebook page again. Hold on. I was just thinking of something that I saw that was missing. Okay, there's a couple. Down here, let me see the dates on these. Okay, November 2022, right? So now let's go down to the ones where you start seeing pictures of him. I think that might be possibly him. That's 2017. And this one is 2016. Maybe in happier times. This is 2016 here. We start going back in time. Looks like she got married in 2016. And when's this one? 2015. But you notice up here, starting right here, I just remembered glancing, and I don't remember seeing him at all. So you start right there. There isn't one picture of him. Now this one right here is from 2017, right? But then we go, that's 2017, and then we start going up into these areas, and we got 2019, and this one's in November, around Thanksgiving. Not a picture. I don't know if she's one of those people that doesn't put pictures up a lot, but it is sort of interesting that she's not. This is probably a real estate company here. This is September 2022. Let me see if she's got a YouTube. Just some random. Where is that? No, nothing on there. What do you guys think? Do you think there's any... There's no pictures of him on her Facebook page since 2017. I think that's sort of interesting. Because before that, he was showing up. But she may have figured out what he was all about at some point. Police had already used canine search for the grounds of the family home at 500 block of Chief Justice. It's actually 516 Chief Justice Cushing Highway and adjacent properties. On Friday afternoon, investigators launched a new search emanating from the parking lot of a nearby Stop and Shop store at 400 Chief Cushing Highway. Let's see where that is. Involving state police and regional police units. Okay, so they organized a search from there. I guess it's not really that far away. It's just kind of a better access point. You just go right across the road there, and you can park in here and go right into that park. The outdoor search was ended for the night at about 7 p.m. after searchers had covered slightly less than 1 square mile of land, and is expected to resume on Saturday, according to David Procopio, a state police spokesman. An indoor search continued into the night, Procopio said. While police were searching for evidence related to Walsh near her current home, on Friday, a 2-alarm fire broke out at 725 Jerusalem Road, a home she bought for $800,000 in 2020 and sold for $1.385 million, so she made $585,000 in March of 2022, according to official state records. The fire was reported at, and also, if you're married and you still have some of that $500,000 and the wife goes missing, guess who gets to have all the $500,000? A home she bought for $800,000. I mean, there's definitely, motive reasons sort of start popping up in here, right? The fire was reported at 2:14 p.m. and firefighters arrived to find smoke coming from the attic and struck a second alarm. I don't know what, you'd have to have a connection to the people who bought the house, because you've already sold it, so you don't stand to gain anything by burning the house down. It just seems so strange. Most people don't have their house burnt down, especially when one of them, goes missing. I wonder, wouldn't that be weird if she had something to do with that, though? Like she wanted to live there and she can't stand that somebody else is enjoying her house, but she was made to sell it for the profit because her husband wanted the money. And so she went over there and, wouldn't that be strange? I know that was far-fetched, but I came up with one of your, hold on. Right, but what evidence would be there to burn down? They don't live there anymore. They haven't lived there in 9 months. MUNTS. Maybe he put her body in that house. I guess. Why that house, though? So she put her body in somebody's, in their old house? For what reason? Cohasset Fire Chief John Dockery said at the scene shortly after 6 p.m. that the home had severe damage and its roof had collapsed, but no injuries were reported. He said the family had left to stay with friends and family and that the search for Ana Walsh was ongoing. Walsh was last seen by a family member at around 4 a.m., that's the husband, on January 1st. Nothing really good happens around that time, when she was expected to take a rideshare to Logan Airport in Boston for a flight to Washington. I mean, it's interesting that the flight was likely scheduled, where she works for an international real estate developer and property manager. But Walsh did not make it to Logan. And Cohasset Police Chief William Quigley told reporters Friday that investigators have not confirmed she took a rideshare from her home. We can't confirm that a rideshare actually picked her up. He also said Walsh, who is very active on social media, has not used her cell phone since New Year's Day. Right now, it's a missing person investigation, Quigley told reporters, and the focus right now is on trying to locate her. Whether she just needed a little break or a timeout, we're just looking for her. If that's the case, we just looking for her to call. All it takes is a phone call to let us know she's okay. Yeah, that's a lot of article there. What's going on down here? Yeah, we already did the fire. Now, Walsh, according to LinkedIn, is a regional general manager of Tishman Speyer, a high-end property management. You know, life is challenging sometimes, Quigley said during the press briefing Friday. She has 3 small kids, the oldest being 6, the youngest being 2, right? So, you know, it's possible she took off. That's what he's implying right there. The holidays, working out of state, sometimes life gets chaotic. So it may be a case where she just needed a break. And if that's the case, we just need a call from her or someone. But why would, she would need her something. But she, obviously, she sold the house, so she might have access to a lot of cash she could have taken. Who's asking me personal questions? I don't see any personal questions in there. Ah, Jesus. Oh, yeah. All right. A review of Walsh's social media feed suggests a woman who's well-traveled and frequently socializing with friends, coworkers, and family, sometimes at high-end spots. She appeared to post from Belgrade, Serbia, on December 5th, uploading a photo of a historical building to Instagram. Okay, so let's look her up there. Ana Walsh. I don't know, can you just go to Instagram and do a search? Oh, there she is, right there. Take the risk of optimism. That's 6 days ago. That's the day she went missing. Again, I don't really see a lot of pictures of her husband in these. Yeah, she's a little tiny person. Yeah, there isn't one photo so far of her husband. That's the one that was on her Facebook page. I don't know, man. I think there is a chance she just took off. Even though her kids are there, she might have just needed a break, you know. Maybe there's some guy that she feels young, but she's trapped with a bunch of kids. She's pretty and wanted to get out there, and you know, what do you think? Do you think there's a possibility with that? I know you guys all voted 86% that's something nefarious, but the thing that's bugging me is the rideshare fake. I mean, it could be that she told him, I got a rideshare, and he didn't know, but there wasn't a rideshare. Somebody was picking her up. See what I'm saying? Like, she could have said, oh yeah, I got a rideshare coming, I got to leave at 4, don't worry about me. And it was really somebody else that picked her up, and there was really no flight at all, and they went and did something else. Now, KK, you never seem to understand anything people say, so it's okay. Don't worry about it. I just said, you understand? You said no. I mean, how would you not understand that? Anyways, it's possible that she said that the rideshare was what she told her husband, and her husband just thinks she took a rideshare. But he also has all those financial issues that he does, so... Yeah. Did you, TTJO? See, then Run the World said, no way. Well, you don't know if it's no way or not, do you? The police chief actually suggested that too, right? So we don't know. But yeah, I mean, I'm leaning towards... What's weird about a lot of you guys is you're so sure of something, and you're almost always not right. You know, so sometimes just kind of leave the door open for something else. Just kind of go like this. Yeah, you know, it's possible that she left on her own. You know, remember the suicide in the Debbie Collier case? How all of you guys were so angry with me over and over and over again. And, well, guess what? Yeah. Yeah, it does sort of have a feel of Photos Doulos, doesn't it? Yeah, I think it's more likely that something bad happened to her. But you got to say to yourself, hey, it's possible, right? I mean, she's very pretty. Her husband isn't really, you know. And she probably, you know, it's possible that she was like, met somebody that wanted to sort of whisk her away, and she just made a stupid decision, and maybe at some point she's going to go, oh crap, I gotta go back. Yeah, she did send a Venmo. Guess what it said on the Venmo? It said, the keys in the flower pot by the door. It's unbelievable how similar that sounded. Yeah. Right. But some of you said no way, and Nefarious 86%. I don't have a clue what Gray just said. You didn't follow the Debbie Collier case, Moofies? Man, you must have got here late. That was a big case in here. One where I endured a lot of trash, just people just throwing me, just thinking I was just an absolute idiot. YouTubers saying, oh God, you're the stupidest person. And when you look back, they were the dumb people, right? So I don't know if there's politics involved. How would I know? Oh, it's Photos Doulos. Photis. Like Photis. Well, they said he called himself Photos Doulos. It's a case. F-O-T-I-S, or was it U-S? And then D-U-L-O-S. Well, he doesn't keep looking more suspect. He looks he looks like she doesn't like him very much because he's not in these pictures, so they seem like they've kind of parted ways or something, or you know, they're not getting along. Like she had her kids and everything, and he just, you know, they maybe drifted apart. So you can already see a separation because he's not in any pictures on here. There's like none. I wonder if we go back a couple years though. Like there he is right there. Okay. So this is way, I mean, this is 34 weeks ago, but this is old from 2016 because that's a wedding photo, right? He looks suspect. The rideshare thing is and his fraud that he did with those paintings. So you put those two together, that's not good, right? No, I think the reason I'm saying that, KK, because you don't seem to be paying attention, is that he is in photographs early on. And by the way, what's this one here? What happened there? Mild concussion, bruised hip, and a cut. She doesn't really say what from there. Oh no, I've always told you that you run too much. So she was running and fell over, and I don't know. Sounds like some story you'd make up. It's not Botox, Melanie. Whew, wow. Let's see, what do we got here? Gray, go to the third row from the top. No thanks, Nay. I don't even know what the hell you're talking about. Let's see, little kids will... you just start your own channel up there and go to that picture because I have no idea what you're talking about. If that is her mother in the photo, her mother will know details of marriage. Yeah, I guess. Let's see, I will never criticize anyone, never again, my bad, jeez, sorry. Come on, Ivan, just don't always draw attention to yourself. Sometimes just make rational comments about the cases we're talking about. You seem to do that on every show that we do. You sort of just keep like, oh, everybody, I want to make this about me. Hey, and you make little crass comments, and then somebody has to reply, and then you keep commenting, and then you whine back to the mods, and then it goes. I don't want to have to deal with it, Ivan. I just want you to be one of the regular people here that watch the show and try to learn something about crimes and add to the conversation. All right? You get what I'm saying? Thanks. Because I am seeing this whole thing. It just keeps going on and on and on. Yeah. I think it's a sign. Don't you guys think it's a sign when you're in photographs early on, often, and then all of a sudden you're not in photographs later, and you're always out with your friends and doing other things with other people in your photographs? Isn't that a sign to some of you, or do a lot of you guys do that anyways? I mean, you take pictures with all your buddies and friends, and that's just how I look at it. Now, you guys might not look at it that way, but that's how I look at it. I'm just trying to... So what do you think, KK? Because you were saying you don't think that means anything. Now this one it says 241 weeks ago, so a long time ago. I just thought it was interesting what she's talking about. I mean, what she said, it sounded like she mentioned that she was running or something. Okay. Well, maybe the younger people do that. I don't know. Lots of reasons why. Well, I wasn't able to get everybody's name in there again because I had Colleen and so I might have to do your guys' names tomorrow. I got the first show names on there. Although, I don't know. If you guys want to just talk amongst yourself and I play this music over here, I can probably do it. Let me do it. Alright, you guys. Do your own thing. Even you, Ivan. What I'm trying to get is for people to have a little bit more, like you weight things instead of being so sure of something. That's all I'm looking for. Now you guys always think, oh, you're so no, I'm not. I adjust my theories all the time. I'm always shifting around until something makes the most sense. You know? And I just don't like when people go, oh, no. I guess maybe you guys get to do that and I don't get to. Alright? Does that sound crazy to you? When you have it, and I guess when it is when somebody has a theory, and let's say somebody has a theory, and it really takes into account all the little pieces of information, and then you want to have a theory that doesn't take into account all the information, and then you get upset if somebody trashes it. Just don't feel that way. Just realize, wow, yeah, I didn't really, didn't think through that. I didn't put I didn't really care about the evidence and the information. I just wanted to say something. That's why people might be like, yeah, that sounds like totally bogus. Like when people have these theories that involve so much detail on things that aren't known, those don't work. Hey, but it was cool. I'm going to keep following this one because I do have a feeling it's likely related to, close to home there. But I'm not ruling out that she went and did something else. And the chief said the same thing. It's possible. See, normally I'm doing this one at a time on the show, and then now I didn't have time. Thanks, Sack and Fox Nanny. Missed that one. know that live stream I did today, it seemed like people liked to watch that because it was only an hour long. It wasn't 4. Her name is Ana Walsh. ANAWALSHE. And no, I don't need links or any thoughts or anything. We're just going to go over it as it happens, and when people send, you know, when things are, you know, there'll be some updates, I'm sure, pretty soon here. I mean, it's also kind of a red flag that all of her credit cards and everything are not being used at this point. Here's what I would say in that case. If they can find, if she removed cash out of her account prior, then it's very likely that she left on her own. If she left with nothing, like there was nothing taken out of her bank, no credit card, she left everything behind, and there's nothing missing from the house, then it's very likely something happened at home. The rideshare thing is completely bogus, and she was taken somewhere. Right? Yeah. See, Ivan, that's what you're doing wrong right there. See right there. That's a perfect example. Just comment about the cases, you know? That's what I'm saying. But right there, you talked about yourself again. Yeah. That's a perfect example. Ah, man. I mean, I like Ivan, but come on, Ivan. Just participate like everybody else, you know? You actually distract people's attention away from the cases onto what you're doing, and I've been watching it. What can't you, Melanie? I can't what? Yeah. Why would you disappear when you have a place in the city to go to? Yeah, I think it's more likely that she just, like somebody killed her, you know, and likely somebody close to home, as it were. You know, the whole rideshare thing is completely ridiculous. Yeah, you see what I'm saying? I'm just saying, don't exclude the possibility that she was taking a quick break, and maybe she'll be back soon. We don't know, but, you know, just wanted a break of life and did something else. But there's a lot of things that don't make a lot of sense. That's it. Yeah, Yeah, we know, KK. I'm avoiding saying the name, so I'm gonna have to remove your thing. Thanks. All right, Ivan Victor, what's your opinion on the case we have been hearing about? Yeah, but Ivan, I know you don't make anybody do anything, but you don't seem to be like that interested in what we do here in the cases and so forth. You seem more interested in something else. I don't know. It's confusing, and it's not your real name, so nobody. It's not like, oh my God, you're being so mean to, you know. If you have a fake name on YouTube, you should never care if anybody says anything about you. Okay, it should never bother you one bit because it's not even you. But nobody even said anything. I'm just trying to tell you what it is that people don't seem to like. And you're still here, Ivan. Don't worry. All right, anyway, so thank you to Tosh, Quietly Frozen, Tosh again, Alley Cake, Bell S, The Mike D Experience, Will Good, Mag, Kubi, Mag again, Nancy Schmidt, Quietly Frozen, the coolest name in YouTube history. Tosh. A cat eye. Thank you. Snail. Kubi. Tamara. Not today, but tomorrow. Lisa McAvity Scott. Lisa Murphy. Kit Kat. Jessica Schubach. How's it going, Kit Kat? Salome Anton McClellan. Christy Quasi. Terry Palumbo. K. Me. Carolina T. Frazzled Cat. Loretta Reyes. Sack and Fox Nanny. Tina Susser. Vegas Andrews. Kubi Gifted 5. Caligal 3. Patty G007. Classical guitarist. And Nana's Kids. Then on PayPal throughout the day it was William Sells, Sharon Dion, Barbara Russell, Stacy Talak, TTJO Tracy, and there you go. I thought it was kind of interesting to look at something else again, finally. Just a little bit. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of you guys aren't who you are. KK isn't KK, right? Gummo, I'm sure, let me just say this. There's never been a child born where the parents said, you know what would be a great name for our kid? Gummo. All right? Be honest with yourself. Would you ever go look at your kid? I guess if you looked down at your kid and they had like lips that were drooping off of their face and their skin was almost not even attached to their bones, you might say, you know what? Gummo sounds about right. Yeah. Yeah, so there's a lot of people in here where your names aren't really your names, okay? Obviously. Like Frazzled Cat, for example. Really? Well, her last name was Cat, and her parents called her Frazzled. Yeah, that probably didn't happen, right? So, I mean, that's just the reality right there, everybody. Some of you have the real names. I'm sure Daryl Montgomery, that's probably normal. Jessica Schubach there. Pepper Smith, probably, maybe, I don't know. It's hard to say. Yeah, so a lot of people have their regular names in here. I think that's kind of cool. But yeah, Patty G007, I'm sure that wasn't her birth name. Patty, likely. But did they actually say, hey, we've got a lot of other Patties too. We've got a 6 and a 5 and a 4. Let's call her Patty G007. Yeah. God, is it really? Remember that person who put their name in here, that KK? They said Hughes Gray. Yeah, it was Hugh Gray's, that's right. I mean, I immediately removed them. They were a channel member too. I don't really give a shit, but yeah. She definitely hates James Bond, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and Baz B, right? You think he was born Baz B? I'm sure Baz might be his nickname. Hey, Baz, what are you doing, man? And Kubi, that's not her real name. It's similar to that, but that isn't her real name. And my name is L. Gray Hughes. And Lance was written on my birth certificate. So, and some forms out there I have Lance on it, but the doctor, everybody else like Gray, right? But because Gray was what I was supposed to be called, but officially it's Lance, even though that's not really ever supposed to be my name. He wrote Lance on my birth certificate. And you know what's funny about it? How many times have I told this story? Literally. Go ahead. Yeah, she's 8675309. Yeah, she was born that way. It's amazing. Jenny 8675309 Johnson. Longest middle name in U.S. history. It's incredible. Now go ahead. How many times have I told the story about Lance? Go ahead. Say it. Yeah, at least 1,000, right? But every day you got these clowns and they send you an email or comment, hey Lance, like they're super sleuthy. They were able to figure out my real name, and the rest of you, you know, it's ludicrous. It's just unbelievable. Yeah, well, the Lance story was I was born and my parents wrote L. Gray Hughes. I was just going to have an initial, kind of like L. Ron Hubbard, I guess. Unfortunately. But it was L. Gray Hughes. And the doctor was a family friend, so he literally wrote Lance, filling in that spot. Because I have a brother named Garrett and another brother named, well, that brother died in 1986, but I have another brother named Grant. And then there's Gray. So it was Garrett, Gray, and Grant. It wasn't going to be Garrett, Gray, and Lance. You know, that wouldn't even make any sense. We were the 3 Gs. That's what it was going to be, right? Well, that sort of rhymed, though, didn't it? Garrett, Grant, and Lance. Nah, not really. It sucked. Yarg! There you go. There you go. All right, let me get the spin wheel ready. Here. Got another long day of shows. What do you guys think of that other show? One time I did mislabel the Kaylee's room on there. It was Madison's room, and I said, "Oh, this is Kaylee's room." And sometimes I just, you know, you're talking so fast, you got all these names, and I just threw the wrong name in there. So hopefully I got a really shitty comment about it, so that person was blocked permanently. But, you know, that's how it goes. Hey, Gray, you're confusing everybody too, but you always get so mad at everybody when they're confused. No. I love when I'm the opportunity to block as many people as possible. Like when you make a comment somewhere and somebody trashes you and there's like 9 likes on there on Facebook, I just block every one of the likes too, and the commenter themselves. I don't have time for those people, you know. But it's a good way to be able to do it. It's sweet. And I really have no interest at all in hearing anything they have to say. It's amazing. All right, so we're going to spin for an everything mug and actually, how about we'll just do, I think that's about it tonight. We didn't get anywhere near our regular number. So we're going to do the everything mug, the high-end mug. You can choose that or the It's a House mug if you want it. Those are the black mugs. For some reason, those cost they're more like $25 or something. Or 20 from my end. I'm not sure why they're more. They're wraparound. I got to make some new ones though. No, it's for anybody who sent in super chats. Nay 2D2 of over $5. I just say, yeah, you know, why not give a chance? Members only, I'm presuming. Let me see if I can make a comment and see if I can bash it somehow. Yeah. I don't have to do the spins at all. I can get rid of them completely. Nay 2D2. I mean, are you like R2D2 but with a nay? Yep, so mean. Yeah, you don't have to be a channel member. If you send in a $5 super chat, you get a chance. If you send in a $5 PayPal, you get 2 chances. Isn't that great? Yeah. Or should I do... How about if I did 2 wow just wows? Would you guys want to do that instead of 1 everything mug? That way there's 2 chances to win something. Oh yeah, I guess there's one. Hey, thanks, Rhonda Boatman on... I won't say your real name, because now I gotta... Alright. I didn't see the other names. That's what's hard about it. So let me get it in there. Where's the wheel? What happened to it? Oh, there it is. Oops. God, it's on this freaking screen. I hate this thing. If you got the wrong screen, it doesn't work. It switches over to the other one for some stupid reason. See, that's what happens, man. I'm right in the middle of something. You tell me to go look at something. Could have just added that for the next day. It's no big deal. But anyways, thank you. Here, let me check something. Let me do the studio mode. I want to make sure it doesn't do that again. I can't stand that. There we go. Okay. All right, there you go. Okay. Sorry about that. Nomad beads. All right, here we go. Do you guys want to do the 2 wow just wows? Is that what you wanted? Here, let me end this poll up here and say what? 2 wow just wows. 1 everything mug. All right, there you go. If you guys got a chance to pick which one you want really quick, I'll give you 2 minutes. That's starting to 75%. Yeah, one that I've already thrown in the garbage can, Dan, because I scribbled notes on it. It'll be framed too. Correct. All right. 2 wow just wows. There we go. That's good enough time there. All right, here we go. Here comes the shuffle and the spin for the first one. Wow, just wow, everybody. Here it comes. Wow, just wow. And this is... Kubi got it. There you go. Kubi with the wow, just wow. All right, here comes another one. Wow! Just wow! How many times do you guys see that a day on Facebook? Alright, here we go. 17 million? Nona617. Tosh was right there on the edge of that. She probably would have had a respin now. Correct. Alright, there you go. Nona617. Very cool. Wish I could spend the whole day giving out mugs, but we got a mission. I was a little bit disappointed on the slowness of that lab, though, aren't you guys a little bit? But our money's still sitting in there, so it's no big deal. Just got to get the right stuff going on. Yeah, the Vermont one, have to redo something on that. I don't know. Sounded sort of discouraging there. Well, Colleen's, Dr. Fitzpatrick's really good at shepherding DNA to the right place at some point. You know, she gives it the best shot you can possibly have of making it. Alright, you guys. Well, thank you very much for being here tonight and all the different shows today, watching them. I thought the earlier show was pretty good. I was going to do a video, but I realized that it's so much easier just to sort of be talking and working through things and sitting there trying to record something. And then editing out all the stumbling and mumbling. Yeah. I'd rather just stumble and mumble on the air live than have it a recording. There's sometimes when I'm editing, I re-say something and I don't take one of the takes out. It's like, hey, look at that box on the ground. Hey, look at that box on the ground. It was full of rocks. But I have the first one still in there. It's almost like I have the outtake still in there. It's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, it's less work, but I don't really want to. I don't want to write a script. I like to just think as I'm thinking and not script it out all the time. I don't know. Sometimes it works better that way, sometimes not. Because a lot of it's theorizing, and some of the theorizing pops into your head right as you're doing it. That's one of the things. Yeah. Yeah, I kept saying Jordash instead of DoorDash. It's just, it's ridiculous. But anyways, thank you guys very much for being here. I'm going to go eat some popcorn. And yeah, we'll see you guys tomorrow. All right. It was cool to get onto another case. And, you know, if you got any new link, well, actually, on this case, if you get links that are updates, send them to me. But if they're the same story, I don't need to have it again. All right. Well, good, Connie. I try to make people laugh. Yeah. Cool. All right. Anyways, we'll see you guys later. Thank you all for being here tonight. And as I always say, everybody, until next time, be safe out there. And a 1 and a 2. And thank you very much again for supporting the channel, helping us do what we're doing. It'd be amazing if I could do 8 or 10,000 the entire year a month, because that means I would do better. Plus, you know, the amount of money I give out of the charities would be way better too. So, anyways, thank you guys very much. We'll see you tomorrow, and be safe out there. Hey, thanks. Run the world. What's Christine Reed, by the way? What's that? Hey, hold on. Now I can't leave. What is that? What are you doing? What is Christine Reed? Man, right at the end? Oh, that's your real name? Well, nice to meet you, Christine. If that's your real name, or is that a case suggestion? And then you're going to say, well, I hope it's not a case suggestion because it's my name. So what is it? Come on. Type it in. Was that your real name, or? Oh well, I gotta go. But maybe I'll read it in the comment. Be safe out there. Bye bye. Yeah, I've been doing this true crime thing for quite a while now.
And during this whole
Plato
time,
just
I
came
have not
back
seen
on,
one
but our
person.
house smells like gas.
That is
What? That doesn't answer my
crime
question.
dissector.
Oh, she must be on rewind mode.
Certified human lie detector. Gonna get you.
She is on rewind mode, Ray. She's like 4 hours behind.
Well, I haven't been doing a show for 4 hours.
Well, you know what I mean. Maybe like 30 minutes or something.
Oh, yeah, okay, 30 minutes,
Lecture, crime collector, freak connector, and I'm always gonna be a pup protector, fool deflector, interceptor, and I'm meaner than a speckle with a vector on his pector. With all respect, y'all, just remember I've a temple fucking checked ya. I have no agenda, I'm no pretender,
And I'll serve it to you straight without the blender. And in the end, I'm gonna send ya on a mission to reveal the full offender.
yeah, so I'll just get right back.
Hey, Clem, it's true offender, not full offender.
Don't tell me what to say, Mary Lou. I'll say whatever the hell I want.
Correct.
All right. See you guys later. Be safe out there. Yeah. Thank you guys so much. I always feel like it's so cool to do these shows, but anyway.